All right, it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to call the February meeting of the Windsor Township Board of Supervisors to order. Before we start, I'd like to invite everybody to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, as you can see, Mr. Farbiar is joining us in person tonight. He's not feeling very well, so if we have any concerns or anything, we will address them through the Zoom meeting. And let me know if you can't hear him or anything. You can always turn the volume up. All right, so we'll get started here. We got a busy night tonight. All right, would someone make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 15th meeting of the board?
These are minutes were just handed to us.
Yep, they were sent out in an email.
Yeah, they were.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right, on to public comment. Jamison, Kauffman, you're up first.
So I'm here representing the Kauffman Roush Family Farm Partnership and or Furnace String Farms, whichever you guys want to refer to it as at this time. And it's about basically it was a cease and desist, I believe, that was sent out regarding some concrete slabs that we dumped down on the yard property. I believe the argument was made that it was creating impervious surface area, I think, was the way it was worded in the paperwork. I came in tonight because I wanted to speak with you guys, find out what you guys were looking for and or why the concern over what happened. I did not place anything with the intent of anything being put there permanently. Quite frankly, they were available. We had them dumped there, and where they fell out the back of the truck is exactly where they stayed. With the exception of, I believe, 2 and or 3 of them that I shifted around with an excavator just to see what happened. So I wanted to know what the recommendation was from you guys as to what you wanted me to do in order to correct the situation, and quite frankly get an understanding of why what I did is creating an issue.
Pamela, is Ryan coming tonight?
No, he is
He's
not.
not coming, okay.
No, he was not asked to be here tonight.
Can you give any clarification to what was, have you talked to Ryan about this at all?
That was my brief understanding, was it was considered the impervious coverage. But I don't have enough history, and I don't know how much history Ryan has as to the coverage that exists on the whole property. So I know that he did request to cease and desist so that you could come here tonight to discuss with the supervisors what we call the bigger picture, your intent of the property.
Okay.
There's also the H&K lease, that's moving forward.
That is completely.
I know, but I'm just saying it's on the same property. So
Okay.
they have some overall concerns. They just want to make sure that the property continues to be developed smartly, is not going to produce additional runoff because the slabs could create impervious coverage that was not there before.
Okay.
We have had some significant storm events, and there was some runoff that was witnessed and complained about. Again, the supervisors hear these complaints,
Mhm,
and then
No, I understand.
they have.
And everybody's excited because I'm sure they're all worried about what this H&K project is going to entail. Okay. So I understand
it's the
that,
big picture, so
especially
that's
from
what they need to
outsiders
understand.
looking in, not having a good understanding of how all these things function and
Excuse
what.
me, your first name again?
My name is Jamison.
Jameson, your uncle was Craig, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, here's the problem, all right?
Yeah.
I'm the one pointing the problem out to everybody.
Okay.
The problem is this. There was a report sent to me the other day. Every one of these people here in this residence and the people that are watching that camera right now
Mm-hmm.
has to get a driveway permit, a fence permit, a building permit. They have to do everything, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We have an ordinance that states that in this township, if you disturb 500 square feet, you need to come to this township and get a permit, all right?
Okay.
If you disturb more than 5,000 square feet, you need to go to the county conservation district and get the soil and erosion control plan, all right? Right here, you can go to Google Earth and look at this, okay?
Okay.
This is in 2020, and this is in November of 2024. This area here exceeds well over 5,000 square feet.
Which area are you referring to?
The
sir?
one you backfilled and started dumping concrete slabs on.
Well, I didn't backfill it, I just
Yes, you
regraded
did.
it.
Yes, you can see from the map, and I drive past there quite often, and there was non-stop loads of soil being piled in there, okay? So be it, all right? Go to Google Earth and you can find the map a couple years prior, okay? This property just been expanding, and you know what? I personally don't care about that. The residents in here care, because if they do something, they have to get a permit and follow the rules that's in the ordinance. Am I
Yeah.
correct, Pamela?
Yes, that's correct.
And
That
we're-
is why this is being called out. So where does this go
Whoa,
from
whoa, whoa.
here?
First of all, time out, sir. I didn't come here with an attitude. I
I-
came here to speak with you and find out where the concerns were so that I can follow your recommendation.
Okay.
If you're gonna beat on me, I'm gonna get lawyers to come in here. I
That's
just
fine.
wanna do things right, dude.
Okay,
Like,
so-
I just wanna talk to you, so please
Okay.
drop the attitude.
Okay, so here's the
Thank
issue. You need to go through the process to mitigate this new area right here. All this area needs to be mitigated, and I don't know how far they're gonna go back.
Well,
And
first
before,
and
let me
foremost-
finish.
No,
So there's a bunch of agreements that they are wanting signed tonight from Russell to proceed ahead with the H&K project.
mhm.
We can't proceed because we don't know how that impacts what was done here. So this has to be handled first. This has nothing to do with H&K. This is your family's property issue that will be dealt with first, before H&K can come in and put their plan in front of us.
I understand. Could I please
Okay.
try
Sure,
to
go
address
ahead.
some of your concerns at least?
Mhm.
Okay. So, yes, you're absolutely right. Every homeowner in the township and so on and so forth has to go through the proper permitting in order to change things, do things, move things around, okay? Agreed. I do it for a living. I totally get it, okay? There is a slight difference with this property. Number one, it has been used as a construction yard for filling and removal for better than 30 years, okay? Piles come in, piles go out, piles come in, piles go out. Things get moved, regraded as needed in order to keep the property functioning the way it needs to function, okay? I did not bring in one load of dirt when I did that regrade. I did not go past any boundaries that were previous boundaries made up when that yard was constructed or when the prior permits were placed for the major yard regrade when Balfour Beatty was here when they did the highway update. I stayed within all those bounds. It didn't get bigger, it didn't get smaller, everything was done within the bounds of that property.
Pamela, pass that down
Okay.
to the gentleman showing
Now,
the-
that being said, I won't sit and argue with you and say that maybe I should have gotten a permit. I will say the thought never crossed my mind because we had changed and regraded that property so many times over the years that to me, I was just getting ready for H&K coming in, okay? And that piece of property in the lower corner, down in this bottom corner here, that piece of property that was down there, and the reason why it's all green is because it was a topsoil stockpile that was placed there when Balfour Beatty was here in the early 2000s. And it's green because it grew up with grass because it was a topsoil stockpile. Now, I moved the topsoil stockpile, regraded the corner so it would be flat because I need to get out of H&K's way when they move in. And I couldn't do it on sloped ground. So, I apologize if I should have gotten a permit out ahead of time. However, I would be able to absolutely prove without a doubt that the changes that I made will create less runoff from the yard area than the way it was previously due to the fact that it's not sloping as hard as it once was. Now again, I would gladly ask and request for permits, have an engineer come out and put something together for you so that you guys can feel that it's done properly moving forward. I don't have an issue with that. The slabs of concrete that were put there. So you guys are aware of the fact that I store materials down at the yard. The concrete that came off of there became available to me, and at some point down the road, I want to put up a building, which I will be coming in to see you folks for. And my thought process was, could I use this concrete coming off the highway and repurpose it as part of my concrete floor to save money because I'm not independently wealthy? So that's why I shushled two or three of them around to see if they could be stacked back together again to be used for that. I thought it could be. So I brought in what was available at the time and had them dumped there, and the reason they didn't get moved is because I didn't have time to do anything with them. I could stack them up on a nice neat pile so that they don't take up any more room than necessary to create less impervious surface area down at the yard if it would make the township supervisors happier about how I did it. I wouldn't have any issue with that. Again, I wasn't just trying to do things to make life difficult in any way. That piece of the property over along Old 22, again, has nothing to do with H&K's project. It was me getting ready to move my things out of the way so that I could make room for them. So if my hands are getting smacked, you can do that direct with me, not with H&K, because they had no understanding of any of it.
H&K's
You
on
know what I
hold
mean?
until this is resolved.
So how would you like me to proceed? What would you like to see done so that you can say that I did everything that everyone else would have had to do?
You have to
in order
work with Ryan.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I did speak with Ryan the other day. I called him the day that we received the letter to see what his, take on it was. His suggestion was to come in and speak with the supervisors because he said to him the only major concern was the impervious surface area. So as far as the impervious surface area is concerned, whatever I need to do to correct that for you guys, I'll be willing to do. If you want me to move them, get rid of them, stack them up so that they don't take up. There's not a crazy amount of them. I can probably get them into about a 100 by 100 square. If you guys would think that would be something that would be acceptable for the township as far as impervious
It's Ryan's
surface area.
decision, but if you are in the business and you know this, I will put it on record so everybody else knows. When you create new impervious surface, you must control the stormwater. Be that a retention pond, infiltration bed, something.
Yes, if it's going to be a permanent thing, yes.
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 And according to the maps on Google Earth, that field was farmed 10 years ago. And you can see it all, okay?
10 years ago? No, sir.
How many years was it then?
Since that was farmed.
That corner was farmed.
When was Balfour Beatty here? 2007?
When they did the school.
6, 7, somewhere around there?
Yeah, something like that.
2006, I think it was.
Yeah, because they had.
So it hasn't been farmed since somewhere
just
around
so I
2005,
understand
so
what you're
20
telling
years
me.
ago?
So that was a field there with topsoil on it. You went and added more topsoil on it and put concrete slabs on top. Is that what you're telling me?
No, not exactly. It was a field, when Balfour Beatty moved in for the highway project, they needed dump sites. And that field was stripped the topsoil was stripped off of it. Balfour Beatty used a valley that went through between the old construction yard and the expanded construction yard and filled that straight across, okay? And all the topsoil from the stripping went back into that corner where it's green back here. That was all topsoil stockpile from stripping the field. And the rest of that area was all filled in, compacted, and built up to be used for a bigger yard area. And then what I did here most recent was I moved what was left of the topsoil because I've been hauling off of it for years. And I moved what was left of it so that I could level that area out with the idea that I could put like aggregate bins down there so that I could store. Right now I currently have aggregate bins over along Monument Road. So I was going to move them over to that area so I had someplace to go with it,
So H&K came in here and presented their plans, which I saw on the transcript.
Mm-hmm.
And not saw the plans, I heard them verbally speak. And they are claiming that site 60 acres or whatever, that property, and they're occupying 5 acres of it.
Okay.
That's what they're saying, it's part of their intentions.
Okay.
You don't agree with that?
That the property is.
They're gonna occupy 5 acres. You're shaking your head, that's.
Oh,
what-
it very well may be. I'll be
Okay.
honest, I don't know the exact.
So you have all
number.
your operations going on there right now. Are you gonna cease those operations? Or are you going to continue that operation, storing stone and concrete?
I am going to considerably shrink that out.
Okay, and that's why you're moving over to that corner, you're telling me?
Well, basically all the way along Route 22. So
Right.
I think, I don't remember the exact measurement, so, please forgive me. I think it's like 200 feet from Old 22 back off the road. It's roughly 200 feet. That will remain Furnace Stream Farms Excavating to use at, or Furnace Stream Farms, within like we have control over that yet,
Okay.
And that'll be like where we will, park things, put, some aggregate there, stockpile is in there, you know what I mean? But on a much, much smaller scale than what we're doing now.
Okay, all I'm gonna say to you is, if you drive past Old 22, on Old 22, past
Mhm.
that site, the natural land goes up like this. It now goes up like this. It's not A horizon soil, it's C or D subsoil that's piled up there. That is not topsoil piled up where the new concrete slabs are setting, that is not topsoil.
No, not
Okay.
where they're sitting, no.
Yes, and
That
that
was-
pile went up like this and flat now, okay? So there's 10, 20 feet of fill there.
Well, yeah, but the fill was there before. I just flattened it all out.
Okay.
The
But you-
fill was placed there originally by Balfour Beatty.
Okay, but you did expand the impervious surface then, by pushing it over there and spreading it out.
I would tend to disagree with that statement, because it was filled in before. But
Well, the
I'm
bottom
not-
line
I
of
don't
this
know that-
conversation is, we can move on, but it's Ryan's decision to work with this, okay?
Yeah.
And the reason I'm making us think about it is because people are held accountable in this township for every piece of bucket of dirt they move. The fees get paid to him, he turns the fees back into the account. I thought you would know that, okay?
Steve, do you have anything to add to that, since you sat through all the planning commission meetings, and you were probably involved maybe back when Balfour Beatty did the highway project, because there would have been an engineering study for that site, because I know there was one done back on Mountain Road.
it was a permitted fill site. Balfour
Yeah,
Beatty
they had an
permitted it.
engineer come in there and say what needed to be
Yeah.
done in that. Are you familiar with any of that, Steve?
No, I wasn't involved in any of this. Are you talking about stuff related to the highway, and or I heard some mention of the school too?
It was during the construction. We were trying to pin down the period of when it was done. It was when they did the addition to the high school. Balfour Beatty was
yeah,
doing.
I took over as Windsor's planning commission engineer sometime in 2007. So anything before that, I might have been a little bit involved in back to 2002, but I don't recall any of that, Dave. I obviously, remember the H&K concrete project, that came through, that I guess just got the NPDES permit, but yeah, I don't have any recollection of any work related to the highway. And I don't honestly know if my office would have been involved with that, since it was, it was a PennDot project, and the roads, were all, PennDot roads. So, I doubt we were even involved, but I certainly wasn't at the time.
Do you remember who the engineer was? I can't think of their name. Because like I said, they did a piece back for Paul right now off of, as a property owner, you should probably have that paperwork.
I have it at the office, I'm all but sure. Right off the top of my head, I don't remember. For some reason, I want to say, it may sound weird, but I think the engineering office was down towards Reading, in like the West Reading area. They're a bigger
with
firm.
an M.
Yeah, McCarthy.
I think it might have
I think it was McCarthy.
McCarthy.
Is that where their office is? Does anybody
They-
know?
I'm not
They've moved
sure.
all over the place.
All right, well then I'm not sure. But I do think it might have been McCarthy
Yeah, they
Engineering.
did the one for Paul.
Because for years, we kept the fill site open. The original, fill permit that they had.
Yeah.
After the highway was done, we paid to keep the fill site open. For years, we kept it that way. And because it wasn't, they never finished it. So we kept filling to fill out the permit, you know? And it
So
wasn't
that
until.
permit's still open?
It wasn't renewed because we stopped filling, you know? The area, we kept it open until the whole surface area of what was originally done on McCarthy's plan, we were out to those outer limits. Well, once we were out to those outer limits, we let the fill portion drop because we already had covered the whole footprint, you know? And at that point, we weren't changing any original grades anymore. But that was maybe, I'm gonna say maybe about 10 years ago, something like that. If that is when we hit the full footprint of the original plans from McCarthy.
Yeah, so Dave, if I could just jump in there. It sounds like they might have gotten an NPDS permit basically just for like, filling and stockpiling. Since that type of plan wouldn't have gone through land development, our office wouldn't have reviewed that. Now, I don't know if SDE would have, you know, because that's more like a stormwater plan, but it sounds like they got an NPDS permit to move dirt on the property, but again, we wouldn't have been involved with that.
Yeah, I believe you're right. I believe it was an NPDES permit. So, all right, so I'll talk with Ryan and I'll work with him to come up with what he feels is the most accurate way to proceed. You know, if he feels I need to come in and request permits and whatnot, I'll gladly do that and I'll pay the fees.
We're possibly working with the Conservation District to develop a plan.
Yeah,
A more
and
current plan.
well, when
just
I
about-
when I spoke with Ryan about the surface area that was disturbed during my regrade, he told me that he believed that I was still under the square footage required to go to Berks County to actually get a full plan made up. He said at this time he believes all I needed to do was provide erosion sedimentation control for the lower portion, you know, everything draining down
What
slope.
Mr. Davis is saying is it's 5,000 square
which
feet,
I
which
did.
is not much.
No,
It's not
5,000
much.
square feet is not a big area, no.
Right, so once you exceed that,
Um,
you really do need a formal plan from the Conservation District, so.
Sure.
I think it's probably best to field meet with Ryan and measure out the area
Yeah.
that he believes needs to be
Yeah.
addressed, and if
I can do
if
that.
it's greater than the 5,000, then get to the Conservation District as well, and I think
Okay.
that is showing good faith, you're trying to get the permits, you're
Sure.
trying to go through the outside agencies that need to review activities like this to make
Mhm.
sure that the runoff is not, you know, polluting the waters of the Commonwealth and causing other problems. I
Yeah.
mean, the property's right there, it's very visible to a lot of people, and this is why it's
Sure.
showing up.
Oh, no, I understand, you know, and to be honest, one of the reasons why I hadn't put up any erosion control was because I was unaware of the change. The rulings that I remembered through all of the ENS controls was if you had more than 50 feet of a grass buffer prior to any type of waterway or anything, that was considered erosion and sedimentation control. And Ryan very quickly straightened me out on that. I'm not an engineer. I don't claim to be. You know, I get plans, I follow them. That's what I do. You know?
Times have changed.
Yes, how about it? So that being said, as far as that part goes, I'll work with him. And you want me to work with him directly regarding the impervious surface area and those concrete slabs then as well, like however he wants to take care of that?
He takes care of that for all the people in the
Okay,
township.
not a problem. I guess my last question would be in regards to like futuristic things in where I don't want to come in here every other month because I did something wrong and didn't know it, okay? Again, my plan is to use that yard, that 200 feet out along Old 22 as a staging area, I guess would be the best way to go about it, meaning that it will be consistently changing. Material coming in, material going out, so on and so forth. Is there anything that the township requires in order to do such a thing? Remembering that this is being done on this property for some time. Is it grandfathered? Is there something new, something different? Is there something that I should be doing in order to make sure that I'm following what the township requires?
Do you have any comment on that, Steve?
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking, just on the spot here, I kind of know, I don't have the plan in front of me, but he's talking about the area kind of between where H&K is gonna be set up and Old 22, is that right?
That's correct, Steve.
Yeah. I think what might be best is if he submitted like maybe just like a sketch plan showing exactly what the intent is for the future. And is it Jamison that's talking there?
Yes.
Yeah. At that point, if you want to present that to the planning commission and make an argument that, you know, there's a pre-existing use there, that it's been there for 40 years or whatever, the planning commission can consider that. And, you know, but, you know, that's one of those kind of gray areas, like staging areas, that sort of thing, particularly if it's been going on a long time, whether or not it really needs to go through land development. But that's why I think if they come in with an informal sketch, I can look at it, Ryan can look at it, and then we can kind of sort out concurrently any issue with the, you know, the perpetual earth moving, you know, associated with that use. Maybe there's a way to amend the NPDS permit that H&K just got, you know, to kind of just include that area, and then, you know, maybe that can just be an open permit, or maybe get a separate one. But, you know, I think this is probably something that warrants going before the planning commission, if nothing else informally, just to kind of, you know, to take a look at that.
Okay.
And that planning commission meeting is next Tuesday night,
Okay. All right.
so you know, if we can have something.
I mean, I can definitely put something together as to what our plans are currently. And if I need to change something, I'll just come back in and say, hey, I'd like to do this a little different, and like to see what we're thinking about doing. That might be just the easiest way to kind of go about it, so that, you know, nobody thinks I'm trying to pull a fast one, because that wasn't.
Yeah,
the-
we'll
the-
figure out what
the
you
point
want to
at all.
do. Figure out what you want to do and come in next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock
Okay.
and run it by Steve and Ryan, you know, talk to Ryan ahead of time,
Yeah.
see what the requirements are,
Okay.
and then you can decide how you want to handle the property and present it.
It might be a grading permit that's on file, and that goes with the sketch plan, then possibly the Conservation District's ENS plan goes with the file.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all, you know, put together.
Okay.
But yeah, Ryan and Steve are the two to work with right now.
Okay. Not a problem. I can do that. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Jamison,
Yeah.
do you have my email?
I think so. Yeah,
If you
I'm
don't-
pretty sure I
If
do.
not, get it from Craig.
Yeah,
If you don't, you can get it from Craig or Ryan.
yeah, I can do that. Yeah, and I'll get something
Feel free
sent.
to reach out to me directly.
Yeah, and I'll probably draw something up this weekend, get it over to you so you have Monday to look at it. That way, you know, when you guys come in,
Oh.
hopefully you know what we're looking at.
Sounds good, thanks.
Sure.
James, I only have one other comment.
Yes, sir.
Before you walk out of here and you think this is all personal and it just gets stirred up, it's personal. It's not personal. A month ago, this gentleman right here was making an issue about somebody leaving big piles of dirt. I don't know where it was, it's not my concern, okay? But that issue was brought up.
Hmm?
This, Ryan sits here and he gives a report every month of all the people that did not meet the compliance of the ordinance. They cut a little driveway in, they cut a little path, they put a fence up, they put a swimming pool in, they get a, all right? I'm not that, I don't care about that, okay? As far as I'm concerned, forget about it. But if we're gonna force that for
That's
those
the way I feel
people,
about it too.
okay, but my point is, here's my point. If we enforce that on those people, okay, they drive by your property and they see that and say, why does he get away with it?
All's
Do you
fair
see
in
how
love and
bad
war.
this looks?
All's fair in love and war. I didn't take the letter that I received personally.
Okay.
What I took personally was the way you were talking to me. Because I didn't come here to argue and fight. I
Okay.
came here to talk it out. Let's find a solution so we can all move forward, so that everyone is happy, and that no one feels like I'm getting some sort of preferential treatment because I don't want it. I want to do it right. I don't intend to do things wrong. I didn't do it because I thought, oh, I'm gonna pull a fast one. Like, quite honestly, we have regraded that yard so many times over the years.
So let me say
And no
this
one
to
said
you.
anything, I just was
You-
like, well, I guess we're
Can
good.
you go
You know?
at some time tomorrow, go home and look at the computer and pull up Google Earth?
Sure.
With those maps back.
Yes. You can pull up Google Earth, and it gives you a drop-down box that
Yeah,
you can look
you
at the
can change
history.
the dates.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
Mhm,
So
yeah,
take
yeah.
a look at what people are looking at, and they're coming to me and complaining about this, all right?
Yeah, well, see, here's the, I mean, can I come over?
Sure.
So obviously this one's brand new, right?
Yes,
Like
it's
that-
the date's right
that-
there.
Yeah.
It was photographed on
Right.
11/2.
So this one is absolutely 100% brand new, hence why it looks all white in color and.
And that's over
some of
five,
the-
that's over 5,000 square feet.
Now, over here, this one here.
Was
and
taken
the-
in 2020.
And the issue with these vertical satellite maps, this here, which is kind of, it looks green and appears to be this whole pasture, that's not the pasture, like that's up where all of this is. It's just from the vertical appearance
So
of it.
how many acres do you project this site to be here? Right here, that's being occupied now?
Well, so from 200 feet back off the road, somewhere in this area, from here,
So you're, just draw that on there where the line's gonna be at.
it's rough.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, but let's see, this is the fence here, somewhere around this knuckle here, and parallel off here, somewhere in there. To the best of my.
Oh, that's fine.
way I did. So from this line to Old 22 is gonna be our yard.
Okay,
Okay, for staging, storing, parking
Sure.
equipment, whatever,
Okay.
okay? From here, this way, to, I believe, somewhere in that area.
well,
if I'm not
draw a
mistaken.
line for me, please.
I think, oh, that's not good, sorry, poked a hole in it. I think to somewhere in this area
Mhm.
is gonna be H&Ks. Now, there's a section here that's like a buffer and I believe like a little drainage swale or something, if I'm recalling the plans right. I haven't looked at them for a while.
I haven't ever seen the
Okay.
plans.
So somewhere in this area, there's that like buffer slash
Okay.
drainage
So,
area.
so
here.
how many acres do you project this area to be here?
Whatever H&K's plan says it is.
So they're saying
4 or
five.
5, somewhere
So
around there.
that's, you 4 or 5 acres here is what you're saying?
Yeah, roughly.
Okay.
Yeah, this is like 4 or 5 acres, and this
Okay.
is like 200 by. I don't know. I'd be lying to
Okay,
you if I
that's
told
fine.
you I knew.
That gives
what
me
it
an
was.
idea where it's at. Okay.
Yeah, this, I believe this measurement is like 200 feet.
And the way the.
200, 205.
In your
something.
plan, your plan in your mind, and their plan that's on paper, which I've never seen, they don't cross this fence line here? It's not gonna cross this current fence line?
Where they're gonna be utilizing the area, I don't think so.
So the fence that's there now is gonna stay, it's not getting moved?
There might, the original plan did not call for it, but something's now sticking in my head that fence might come back some here.
Okay,
Like, so if I could like kind of make it a little bit more square, like see how this kind of
Sure.
gets a little.
That
I
goes up, yeah.
I think they
The
did
square
something,
thought, okay.
yeah, I think.
okay.
The only other place that I know of that they're gonna be crossing the fence line is for, there's gonna be, I believe, a drainage pond that's gonna go in, and I think that kind of stems off into this corner somewhere,
So it crosses
if
the
I'm
fence
not
there?
mistaken.
Okay,
But once the pond is built, like, that will just sit there,
Mhm.
of course, like, maybe even in the pasture. I'm not sure. I don't know that we ever.
well, that's
really
not
dug that
your concern,
deep
okay?
into that,
That's, yes,
you
that's
know?
not your concern here, so that's fine.
And I believe what we're looking at here, yeah, what we're looking at here, so this one actually shows it fairly well. Right here is the trailer, so yeah, that line is, yeah, just right, yeah, right there.
Mhm. No, that's fine.
That's where, that's about where that line's
Yeah,
gonna be.
you don't have to be exact, I was just getting a perspective of what.
Well, I did
the
some
plan is.
measuring, but when I was doing this,
Mhm.
and so this, it's like rings in my head a little bit better
Okay.
than this appeared map on this side. So that's about what this is gonna be, and I think this is like 200 by like 600, so that would be roughly 3 acres, I guess, right? Like the whole thing,
You want me to tell you
200,
that?
well, I mean, 214 by 214 is an acre, right? So
I don't know that.
I think it's.
So it's, what is it, 300 by 600 you said?
Yeah. No, 200 by 600, sorry.
Oh, 200 by
sorry.
600.
Took a minute for my brain to react, but yeah.
It's 120,000 divided by 43,560. That's 2.75 acres.
Okay, so this whole thing is 2.7 acres.
Yep.
So I don't know, what is it? Quarter of it, possibly, maybe? That got
It's way
disturbed?
way over 5,000 square feet.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Okay.
probably closer to 10 maybe. I don't know. I'd have to measure it off.
Mhm. Okay.
But,
Well, that's for
all right,
Ryan.
well, there's your,
All right, thank you.
there's your papers.
Thank you so much.
So does any of that clarification like help with understanding at all?
Yes, yeah.
You know, about what's gonna be happening with the property moving forward? You know, basically, I'm just gonna shrink that whole operation down to
Okay.
be able to fit there.
Okay.
And what I have room for, I have room for, and what I don't, it isn't gonna be there,
Okay.
you know? So, all right, I'll work with Ryan, and you guys can continue your meeting.
All right, thank you, James.
I hope that helped. Have a good night, guys. Thank you.
All right, next up, Mike Pollinup.
You're staying around, my neighbor. Oh, just want to have a better understanding of, with this potentially being approved and listening over the now there's a retention pond that I don't think we've ever seen as a group, a formal like drawing or plan yet for where the HEK facility is going to sit. Is that going to be on Monument or is it going to be sitting on Old 22? I know there's some homes up on the corner. And I hear a retention pond, and again, reiterating when I got up, I was in December, and ran some concerns off that where would the water runoff stand, and I know that's still being addressed from the conservation group. Is there going to be a well drilled for their water, which originally, what I understood from their presentation was 6,700 gallons of water per day. Is that's accurate or not? That's what I originally understood it was. Again, we already talked about the impervious slab stuff being moved around. Another. My other concern still, this is going to be moving product right on 22 there. When he was regrading this summer, moving that around, Sunday night, 7:30 at night. And the dust was crazy at my house, and then there's the noise. I think that was probably brought to their attention as well, but he's going to be using that little frontal area where it's across from my driveway and 3 other houses' driveways. You haven't got to look at it, but there's going to be a lot of trucks and moving stuff around and dust. That's so close to our homes, which I feel still presents another issue. I don't have the money to fight this with a lawyer and everything, so I'm bringing my concerns of what is in place before a final decision is made. Utilizing the process, and I've learned some stuff here regarding size that needs to be addressed. So basically, where on the property is everything going to be located? Where's the truck traffic? Do we know an answer for the amount of trucks that they're proposing to come in and out of here per day still that will be crossing in front of our homes? I assume they'll go on Route 22 since there's no exit built. So essentially, we'd like to see some physical plans before it officially moves forward. And then, again, the soil erosions, water runoff, noise, dust, just everything still like that warm and fuzzies of this being across from where we live. And we have to look at it essentially too. But again, people can do with their property what they need be, but still considering what it looks like with that. And so That's kind of just what I need to, the state of all these things I'm sure have been working on, are being addressed. And, before prior decisions are made, maybe have a part of that decision process broken down to, yeah, this is all good, this is covered, and so forth. So, any other feedback from just the things I brought to attention today? Anything, folks?
Dave, Craig?
That all should have been taken care of in the planning commission as far as the property.
I can jump in here for a minute, because I did want to give sort of a background of where we are with the H&K project, because it's been around for quite a while. But it was in the planning commission. I believe that it came up, and I think you sent it back down for some additional testing, and then it came back up, and essentially it was conditionally approved back in 2023. I know, Craig, you gave me the month earlier, but I don't recall what it was. And so that means that plans have been presented, have been reviewed, and have been approved. The conditions were really related to completing the improvements agreement and the holding tank agreement, and the best management practices agreement. Those are what are here for you to review tonight. I'm not recommending that you adopt them tonight. I really just wanted to give the supervisors an opportunity to review them, and if there were any questions, I could answer them, and then I think that we can put it on the agenda in March for a vote. I'm not suggesting that you need to go forward with that tonight, though.
Russell, if I can jump in too, just so the public knows, I mean, all the plans are available, that's all public knowledge. So, I mean, any residents that want to see the plans, they should be available at the, at the township building.
Absolutely.
Steve and Russell, and while Mike's still standing here, do we want to discuss this now, or we want to wait to the agenda? Because there's a lot of concerns that was brought up here, and there's still some gaps in here.
You can wait till it comes up on the agenda from my perspective. I just wanted, because Mike was bringing it up, I wanted to give him sort of the framework of where we were.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
I appreciate it. I'll look up the plans, and I may have further questions from that, but thanks for listening to our whole other concerns and stuff that hopefully will all be addressed.
All right, thank you. All right, if that's it for public comment, we're moving on to the reports, the financial status.
Okay. Just to be brief because of the length of the agenda, the auditors are in the process of reviewing the finances for 2024. So the sheet that you would have, if you have a handout, just refers to or places what was gotten or expended in the month of, till today. Total revenues received in all accounts, $73,379.08. One thing that's been added, if you look on the second sheet, at the very bottom, it shows the finances for the township as of certain dates. So if you look at that, those are the finances that we have. There are 3 savings accounts for the township. One for the general fund in general, and part of the general fund is there's a park Pliget account and the state liquid fuels account. And there are 2 checking accounts that are non-interest bearing. So if you look at the dates, those are the numbers of the township as of those dates shown there.
Any comment?
So Craig, these numbers at the bottom,
Yes.
4, 5, 6, 700,000 ballpark, 6. So the total cash that we have in accounts is $685,066. Am I reading that the right way?
what numbers you're talking, I'm talking about the numbers here at the,
Yes.
the bottom of the
Do they
second.
add up to the numbers that's on the page before at the top? Does that up to 685,000?
Well, that would be what was found, that would be the total amount of monies available at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
But now, the numbers at the end would
Be the current balance.
the current, yes. Well,
Okay.
you look at the dates, as of
Sure.
the end of January, and, okay?
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
That's it?
Yes, that's it.
All right, thank you, Greg.
Yep.
All right, engineering zoning officer,
Okay,
Stevens.
I scanned the additional information to you folks in advance of the meeting, so you have the packet that is the additional list. So I'll just go through that additional list first, which is the MS 965 submission, which is the liquid fuels submission. And that submission is now electronic, and Ben and Craig have been cross-trained. You've submitted that.
Thank you for your assistance on that.
You're welcome. I mean, that's what I promised the supervisors I would do. I would help you guys out, get you trained, and good job. You got an A+ because you submitted it. There were no findings. This is a lot of money for the township. This is one of their other huge income sources. And we're talking over $150,000 the township gets each year between the turnback and the liquid fuel fund itself. So this also shows you your equipment balance that you have. You're allowed to spend equipment. It does then add up to a total of, you have approximately $334,000 in your liquid fuels fund that can be allocated for expenditures, including over $130,000 for equipment. Now, sometimes the municipalities, they save that up for a couple of years to then make a big purchase like a truck, because things are getting more and more expensive.
So just so, pardon me here for a second, so I keep get this straight in my head. So you're looking at this page right here.
It's called the summary page, that's correct.
Okay, so it shows 334,000.
Mhm.
We don't have those funds yet.
No, they're coming.
They're coming, but we don't actually have the
You don't
money.
have the two line items, the 136,686 and the 28,320. Those are the monies that are coming as a result of this report. So you
Okay.
have to submit this report, they say, good job, and then comes in ACH, and then Craig will report it when it comes in. It might be a month or another
Okay,
2 months. And then
Okay.
we get that electronic deposit, and he'll reflect that on
okay,
his finances.
that's fine, yes, sure.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So that's why, if you look at this number right here, the remaining funds, the 168,
Yes.
and you go to Craig's report,
Mm-hmm. I did
they
match.
match perfectly, which they're supposed to. So again, A+, guys. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's exactly what it needs to be. And so all I need to do in the future is just check it before you submit it. I don't need to do any more than that. No, I don't. I don't. So congrats. That was great.
You graduated from college, you said.
When
Well, she was
He did.
professor.
I gave him
it
an
was
A+.
just her college.
And here, I got the bill for the college bill, okay?
But A+. So it's not an easy process. Now Ben and Craig understand it's not. It's tedious, but you got it done. So I also wanted to overview on the liquid fuel fund options. You do have other options of expenditures that you can. So I gave you the little handout. So it's the do's and don'ts, just so you can see there. Now you can have line painting. Ben and I talked about that. You can have some other things, pipe, patching. Remember, Ben, we were discussing some different things. So depending on your expenditures through the year, you may want to pay some of these other road improvements out of the liquid fuels fund. Now that the ARPA money's gone, and you may want to allocate, different general funds for other activities. So just keep that in mind, that there are other eligible liquid fuel options. Right now, you do salt, med-ed streetlights, and your road projects. But there are other permissible expenses. And the big thing is just to communicate with Charlie Paris, your liaison. And we work beautifully, so that's good. And speaking of that, I didn't know if you folks had decided on a, excuse me, 2025 road project. I think you're typically focusing in on oil and chip, which is also can be paid out of liquid fuels. Slurry seal or then just standard oil and chip comes out of liquid fuel funds. So a lot of times we get that out in the next couple months so that we get all of the contractors aligned for their summer work because they get quite backed up. So Ben, I didn't know if you started to look at your roads and
I didn't know how far we were gonna get with the Mountain Road thing, if that was gonna happen this year or not, because otherwise I got patching and pipes to do. I can't do oil and chip this year because we got behind last year with doing Pine Street. So we're not ready to do any oil and chip this year.
and these are other, again, legitimate costs that can be paid out of liquid fuels. So if you're not doing oil and chip, if you're doing small little projects with culvert replacements and also the dirt and gravel potentially for next year. So, okay. That doesn't have to be done now if you're not putting anything out for bid. That's what I was asking. So if it's sort of on hold for any of the big
Well, some of
project.
the patchwork probably has to go out for bid and stuff, base repair and patchwork.
Right, but it's not a $200,000 or $300,000 oil and chip project.
No,
That's what
no.
we're not
Yeah.
having for 2025. Okay. One of the other things that I also had promised to the supervisors is I would, any grants that start opening up, I would put them in your packet so you could take a look at them. This new grant that came out for PA Small Water and Sewer and Storm Sewer is a 15% match. It's up to a $500,000 grant. And I just am putting it out there. It opens up February 3rd, it opened up, and it closes April 30th. So we have a little time if you want to think about it and get me direction maybe at the next month's meeting. But this is a nice little grant for, I'll call it infrastructure improvements. So keep that in mind.
So how many applicants do you expect and how much funding is there? So
It varies each year, it depends on their budget. It's all dependent on the state budgets, because they allocate so much to these different ones. Like the local share account is the gambling money.
Mhm.
This is a different infrastructure that the governor
Right,
feeds. So there's different pockets of money.
right.
So we never know what that pocket is. But again, like we talked about, you talk to your state reps. That's who you really
Sure.
need to knock on their door and
Right.
say, we've put this in.
And when is the timeline for applying for a grant for like a new dump truck?
That's the LSA grant, and that one is September 30th is your closure for your local one, which is your Berks County, and then the other one's November 30th deadline. So they are later in the year, but those LSA grants, I see a lot are equipment related.
Okay.
And that's the one that a lot of municipalities do that.
I think we need to keep our eye out for that.
Okay, so that when that package is coming soon, I'll put it in your package to the LSA and remind you, here it is
Okay.
again. So these, you don't have to do anything, but again, I promised you,
Right,
grants are the way to go. You don't have the money. Nobody has the money.
And that park grant will be coming out in May sometime,
I
May or
think it's,
June?
yeah, spring,
That
summer.
we may hear something.
We may hear something. I know you were going to talk to the rep.
I did.
So, and then lastly, the holding tank, I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood the holding tank is a state permitted, I'll say, method for sewage disposal when there's no, public sewer or a viable on-lot system. So that's it's a state.
We'll come back to that.
Right, but in other
Okay.
words, I just wanted to make sure that
Sure.
everybody understood, it's not the township, this is a state
Sure.
permissible,
Regulated by DEP.
correct.
Okay.
That is correct, it's DEP.
Okay, we'll come back
Okay,
to that.
so I just wanted to make sure that email got into the packet. And then as always, we included the activity report, the code enforcement, and the SEO, and I know Ryan had emailed you folks his activity report, so I think everything that I have on my packet and my list under the agenda, I've presented, so if there's any more questions or information on those items.
I don't, thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Do you have any concerns about Ryan's report? I just want to go through it quick. He talked about the driveways that Med is starting for their line work.
Yeah,
They've just started to install them.
they are at the top of the Lenhartsville Hill, and we got the PA1 calls up until Sunday Road. So within the next 2 weeks, they'll be putting the driveways in over to Sunday Road. So come over to Jaeger and then up to Klaus, and then from Klaus over to Sunday. They'll be putting the driveways in.
And has Ryan been out to this property out at 943 B, Route 143, the place that doesn't have a septic system?
I think he emailed you that he wanted direction tonight. If you want him to go inspect that. I think it's
Yeah, he's a
failed.
zoning officer. He's got to be the one to inspect that.
Right, and then if there is a malfunction, then stop and get involved, or SEO. So,
Wasn't that resolved by email? Everybody was copied on that one?
my understanding is I thought he was looking for, making sure everything was good, he was moving forward with that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he said the investigation is currently pending,
Correct,
Okay.
so he needs our go-ahead to go look at it.
correct.
Any comment?
No, but since you brought up the, Craig did not put this on the schedule. The folks from Med Ed reached out to me, and they're adding, I'll pass this down, they're adding an access road to get to a pole that's on the corner where the line crosses Sunday Road, then it runs parallel to the south of Crick Lane, and where the wire crosses the road to the north, they need to, the property owner does not want them on their personal driveway, so where I have highlighted yellow, I'm just sharing this with the board here so that you're all in the loop. They're going to add an access road to cut over that bank to get that pole.
So this would be an additional permit that Ryan would need to process.
If every site's a new one, yes.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, every site's a new permit?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's not an existing one, so that's a
Okay.
new driveway.
Yeah.
Yes, I will do that to Ryan to process. But I have the blessing to move forward on that 143.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, that's all I have.
That's all I had out of his letter. Any other comment? No? All right, thank you. All right, fire service report. Scott?
We got all our reports in for last year. We had a total calls of 842. There was 146 calls in Windsor Township for last year. This week, the state grant money was awarded. We were awarded $14,170.24. We're going to be purchasing 9 iPads, 9 iPad mounts, and 3 plugs to make electric cars go dead. It's a plug that plugs in their charging port that makes it thinks it's charging, so it should shut the motor down because they're not supposed to drive when they're plugged in. It's an issue with electric cars when they are in accidents or.
I'm sorry, I don't know if you're joking with us or what.
No,
No,
What you lost me somewhere there.
okay, it's a
Scott.
plug they make.
You're buying these plugs.
Yes.
The
That
fire
plugs in,
company's buying.
yep. Plugs in the charging port of the electric car. Well, it makes the car think it's charging because the plug's plugged in. And when the cars are charging, they're not driving. So it kills all the drive wheels, which will make the car not move at all. There's been issues with cars and accidents and that we've read about, that they actually will move but they're not shut down.
Oh, so this is a safety thing, so.
Safety thing for our guys, yeah.
For your, okay, all right.
Yes.
And they
Oh,
catch
yeah.
on fire.
I didn't know if you bought
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I
And they,
didn't follow
and they,
it.
yeah, they catch on fire
Yeah.
really good.
Okay,
It's actually only, when we get them, I'll bring one in, but they're only about, they're as big as a charging plug is what they are.
so it's a deactivation device. for
Deactivate,
your-
it's a thing
for
they
your-
came up with, a
the safe-
deactivation.
Okay.
Yeah. USDA loan, we're pre-approved for the new rescue. So we're moving to the final application stage, which I hope to wrap that up the next month or two. This month or next month, but that's all wrapped up. And we did sign the contract for the truck. It's 828 days to build, which is about 2.5 years.
Seriously.
Maybe you should go help.
Well, that's short. I'm hearing 4 to 5 years now on some other trucks. That's all I have. Jared didn't send me nothing, so.
Any other comment?
And I do have drawings for you of what the truck's gonna look like, then I'll give you that afterwards.
All right,
Gold plated.
all right, thank you. All right, Roadmaster, what do you have, Ben?
Well, we were out playing around on the roads with the snow and everything. We got salt in, we put salt out, so now we're almost out of salt, like a lot of the townships in the county and stuff. So we have enough for 2 more storms, and then we're out. So hopefully the county can figure out what they're doing with the rest of their quotas and get us salt.
You want to bring
Was
that
that
up?
the Cooperative Purchasing Council? What did you go through?
This is a declaration of disaster emergency that the county put out, and we inserted our name in it. If you want to read it, it just says that we can basically buy salt from anybody.
Right, right. You would not have to go through the bidding process. Because of the emergency, the county is allowing us to do that. You might have to pay twice as much for it, but if you need salt, you don't have a choice.
Yeah, who has salt though? Because everybody around here don't have it.
Right, and that's why, that's why the county is acting with that.
Yeah, but that's what I mean, but who do you
Yeah. we
go
can get
to
it.
because everybody's out of salt?
Well,
You know, so you don't have to go out of
there
state.
is a company that apparently has it.
Oh, okay.
You might have to pay almost twice as much, but you could get the salt.
Also, co-stars, we could look up what the state contract has awarded it to.
Ready.
The same one?
Mhm.
Are we back at that again? It's the
Everything-
same?
Everything came out of Reading this year. So
That's
that's
the
why,
problem.
that's why the issue is.
So currently, we have a contract for $75 a ton. That email
Or, yeah,
today,
somewhere around that.
the email came today is $150 a ton.
Right.
And my question, I'm not saying no, but my question is, what's the likelihood in 2 weeks that we can get salt back at the $75 rate?
I have no idea. We have 100-ton ordered from them and stuff. That's on our contract for that, I think it was 75.
Yeah, I called 3 different places. When American Rock Salt said they had no longer, then they gave me another place. I called that, then in a day's time, they would no longer accept people who weren't contracted by them. The last place I called was Eastern Salt, and they indicated they took all the info, but they wouldn't guarantee that they would do that. So I haven't, or Windsor, we haven't gotten anything back yet as far as affirmation that they would honor our request.
Who's the one that's 150?
What is the name?
You were copied on an email today, I think. I can pull it up if you need to
Yeah,
know.
well, the reason why I'm asking, again, when I was with Lower Heidelberg, we bid salt 3 ways. CoStar's Purchasing Council on a separate bid. It was called Haven Salt. And they were the ones that repeatedly bid. There was also Morton, I'm not being funny, it's Morton.
No.
So there were a couple other salt vendors.
Morton's not giving anything out either.
Okay.
Unless you already have an account set up with them.
Okay, but there might be a third one. if I pick my brain, I might be able to get you a couple other
So-
names to drop.
So this doesn't solve the problem today, but we have a contract to buy salt for $75 a ton. They're not delivering on the contract.
Well, yeah, they're out.
Well,
So,
but they contract to deliver X amount of tons here.
yeah,
They didn't deliver on their agreement.
correct.
So Russell, can we ask them to pay the difference that we have to get salt for?
I don't know if we're actually contracted. When the county would set up the program, they would ask you roughly how much you're gonna use. But it wasn't something that was written down. They just wanted to have a number so that they would have hopefully enough in their stockpile.
Oh, so we don't have a contract.
It's not a contract, we're part of a consortium.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a consortium.
Yeah. And what do we always ask for, like 300 or 400 tons?
400 ton.
So it has to be
This
bought by the.
This happens whenever we have seasons where we have a lot of storms. This seems to
24
happen.
last time.
Yeah, so it's not unusual. I think, I saw the email this morning, and I think it makes sense to adopt the declaration of emergency, because, I don't know how many more storms there'll be, but there could very likely be more than 2 storms between now and your next meeting. So I think it makes sense to at least have that in place so that if you need to go elsewhere for salt, you can.
Should you be writing a letter, or should the supervisors write a letter to the Berks County Purchasing Council citing that they want the purchasing council to go after the salt company for the cost differential? Because they're out of contract, and that's not fair to all the municipalities that lean
Sure,
on this.
yeah, I mean, I can certainly do that. I don't know that it's gonna get you very far, but I can do it.
Well, that's up to the supervisor. Just suggest
Yeah.
trying to get
Well, we
something
don't
legally.
we don't have a contract and we have nothing then.
No,
That's-
the Berks County Cooperative Purchasing Council has the contract. What I'm saying is,
Yeah.
if all the municipalities go on record together saying, we want reimbursement for the cost differential, or whatever you guys can work out, I'm just making a suggestion, is that something you guys are interested in putting on record? I mean, that's not fair to you guys.
Here's my opinion. The other two can speak here, but my opinion is, if there's a legal requirement that we entered into, they need to deliver on that contract, okay? But if there's no contract here, then there's no sense of wasting money to pay Russell to write a piece of paper that
It's
there's
not a
no.
contract with Windsor.
It's the county, yeah.
It's not a-
County has the contract.
Yes.
Yeah, and the thing is, it could be a supply chain issue for them, which
Oh,
is
the
which is
salt
something
sitting
that
on
they
a
can't
barge coming
control.
from Ecuador, or wherever
Or
it is.
train cars. that show
So
up by
if there's an
rail.
exclusion in that agreement, then we're wasting our time.
Yeah, the declaration is a good idea, so we can get it other places, but what else, you can't squeeze blood from a stone.
All right, well,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this declaration of emergency.
Do you want a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Ben, don't stock up on the high price stuff, okay?
We'll go with $300.
Do you want to load the truck
Well,
with bags?
The issue too was what came out of Reading this year was almost all dust and powder.
Yeah, what
There
was
was
that
hardly
email
any
about?
granulars in it. It was so powdery.
Is there a spec that comes with the salt?
I wish there was.
So we don't even get a spec.
No, years ago, we had trash in it.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
There was actually paper trash.
Because-
I mean, it's not something that we can control. And
It gets handled too many times till it gets to Reading, so it gets broken down. But last number of years, the county was getting it off a barge down in Delaware. That was
Right.
Chilean salt, and that came in real nice crystals.
So
and stuff.
when we buy the
So-
salt, we're not have any specs on it. We're just buying salt, where they
It's
say.
whatever, yeah, it's
Well,
whatever
then
the
you can't
county.
say anything.
yeah.
We're not doing it up front.
But I think that was another reason it hit this year, because if everybody was getting dust,
It just-
everybody was burning through it a lot more because
No,
it
wasn't
just,
doing
not
it.
doing nothing.
yeah. And stuff, because it like flows out like water out of the spreader and stuff. You see it come off the spreader and just hangs in the air and goes down instead of going on the road.
Mm.
So, but if they just have piles of dust, because it's gonna disappear quicker than the regular granular salt.
Have
So,
you heard of Bulletin 15, if I say Bulletin 15 to you?
a little bit of it.
Okay, that can also list different salt suppliers. So Google Bulletin 15, salt, road salt, along with Haven, and see if maybe there's some other names that pop up that you and Craig can call, just to see if there's some other entity out there. Because right now, it sounds like it's getting gouged.
Just there again, the hardware stores can't even get bagged salt either.
Seriously?
It's all the way around. It's not just bulk, it's bagged. and
I
stuff.
have an unopened bag of salt in my garage.
That'll get us out the road.
You're gonna have one.
That's like
Well, I
gold
do have a
rush.
lot of money.
This is terrible, oh my word.
It's all these nuisance storms,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Well, yeah, because we used over 500 ton this year. And so, yeah. And normally it's 300 or less. And so we pretty much doubled.
Well, keep me
So-
posted if you need anything else, I'll let you know what I can do.
We just need to put up a bigger shed so we can store them.
I got a hoop, we can do the hoop.
I'd like a hoop, because then they can dump inside it.
Yeah, the hoops are great.
Moving on, other items to mention. I would like to get on the line painting schedule sooner than later. Because the last 2 years we were pushed off till October. So I talked to the gentleman. He said, if we contact him direct, he will put us on earlier than waiting till alphabetical order if we go through the county. Because that's how it goes through the county. The last 2 years we did. We're W, so we get pushed down to the end. And that's why we're always in October. So she's wanted it closer here in spring. But it's gonna be roughly $11,000, but it's Hess, Sunday, Blau, Crick, Pine Street, Zions Church, and Port Clinton Avenue. Is what I'd like to paint this year.
Did those PK nails ever get put in on Port Clinton Avenue to check see if it's moving?
Never.
That's something that we had brought up to Tom. They were gonna go out and put PK spikes in,
Well,
and
then I
get the elevation
you know,
shots,
I'll
and
get
then
it,
check
yes.
it periodically to see if the road is
Well, if I have
moving.
your authorization to go do
I
it.
think we had
5
authorized
spots.
him to do it last year.
Okay.
No, I think it was the other year, because we didn't talk about it last year. So I think that was actually 2 years ago already. So,
Yeah, because if we're gonna do that ordinance,
Well, Pam, we all got to agree on to do this before.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
Okay.
right.
So what's being proposed here we go?
what Tom wanted to do was, they were PK spikes, they're little nails about like this long with a big head on them. And they'll go out with a GPS tripod, and it'll give them the elevation to within 1/8 of an inch. And then it'll give them the longitude and latitude of that pin. And what we wanted to do was to keep an eye on that road to see if it's shifting because of traffic use.
Okay, this is which road?
Port Clinton
Port Clinton
Avenue.
The
where-
same one we're talking about, the signs.
Yes,
Yeah.
because we have 5 areas. 2 of them
Two of them are really bad.
were really bad is what we were gonna try to fix, and the other 3 we were gonna put the nails in and watch. Well, we were gonna definitely watch them, but we were gonna try to fix the other 2 that are really bad.
Okay.
Yeah, the cracks kept widening,
Yes.
and that's why we were gonna do it, to keep an eye on what was actually
Now I
happening.
remember, yeah.
So instead of going out, it's easier to put these nails.
Sure,
in.
no, I'm okay with
So,
it. I'm just,
yeah.
I've been hearing about this for 2 years now, longer, okay?
Longer.
All right, and when we finally put the weight signs up, weight limit signs, they're probably gonna cost us $10,000 each in total cost, all right?
Probably.
Okay, and there's big, what, 4 signs?
No, it's like 10 something.
Well, we still.
No, and
we-
signs are typically about 250.
Well, I was gonna say,
Yeah, they're not that.
it'd be like 10,000 total with the posts, stubs, signs, labor.
And that's liquid fuels.
No,
You can
I'm
use
just saying,
liquid-
Absolutely.
we've been
liquid
talking
fuel.
about this, Ben, for so
Yeah.
long, adding cost to it.
Yeah.
In the end,
Because when we first came to it, we had a company come in, they looked it over, they gave us a quote of $600,000.
Mhm.
That was
Tom-
4 years ago.
Yeah, well, no, it was 22, because it was after the pandemic. And so, Tom applied for a federal grant, we didn't get it.
Mhm.
And we talked about it because, everything else is going up. but we still didn't get the second grant. So that's why we decided to go for the signs, to at least try to get some of the heavier traffic off that's pushing on it, to hopefully extend the life a little bit and stuff, because we can't even really go and address the top, because if we address the top, we're probably gonna make it worse, like if we cover over it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
technically, right now, the signs are only a Band-Aid and
Right.
stuff, but you gotta keep, to a point, there's gonna be a time where it's gonna move too much and it's gonna be gone.
So where are we at with these signs?
That the ordinance is on the agenda here tonight.
Yeah, that's the weight limit
The
ordinance.
weight limit ordinance is on the agenda
So
tonight.
we gotta adopt that ordinance to get the signs.
Well, then
Well-
it makes the signs official.
Yeah, and was everything straightened out with Charlie? Did anybody talk to Charlie about the signage out at North End?
Charlie nor John Davis, your two liaisons, have gotten back to me.
So Russell, do we even have an agreement with, is it West Brunswick Township yet?
Yeah, I thought, yeah.
West Brunswick
Done it.
Township, I talked to, Chappelle,
Todd
something.
Chappelle.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
the
from West-
roadmaster, he said they have no problem. And that one
Well, he's-
sign that's
he's
in
also
West Brunswick
supervisor.
Township, but it's only that one sign. That's all they have is in West Brunswick. It's when you turn onto Port Clinton Avenue, there's that one sign, and they're fine with it. You install it, maintain it. It's the two signs for northbound and southbound 61 that are needed so that the vehicles don't turn. And those are the ones I can't get any answers from PennDot.
Well, my only point is, I'm okay with putting these spikes and getting a monitoring device is what this really amounts to.
That's
But-
exactly right.
But we need to get this whole thing wrapped up. It's been going on for 2 years now.
Well, we're on the agenda.
Yeah, well, no, that's another thing Ben brought up in an email that he sent out earlier about the fact that how does this affect if there's an accident on 61 north of the county line and they want to use Port Clinton Avenue as their detour route? What can we do to stop them from running trucks on that road?
I mean, that's an emergency situation.
We would have to allow them to use it.
I think in an emergency situation, you would, but I think that's, that's not gonna happen, with any regularity. But I think that if it's an emergency, I don't see how you're gonna be able to tell PennDOT no.
Well, that should come up in the conversation with Charlie or whoever, along with the signs for on 61.
But the ordinance needs to be
Yeah.
adopted, so the signs
Yeah,
can go.
we have to get
can
that
go
done
in.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we'd have to find out if PennDOT would even let us put the signs up, or if they would have to put the signs up.
Typically,
Since
it's
it's their
the
road.
typically it's the municipality
Is
who
it?
put
Yeah,
the signs up.
usually they give a map and
Yep.
measurements and say, this is where we want it, and,
Well, they'll tell you what they want and everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
we
we found-
can't
right.
get the signs until.
Yeah, the conversation has
till
to
they
happen
do it
first.
and stuff.
But at least, yeah, get the ordinance, get all the
Yeah.
other signs ordered and installed, and at least get the process started. And then, I can talk to Kevin, our surveyor, about setting the PK names and start monitoring.
All right, and another thing in Ben's email was the liquid fuels for Oval and Ridge. Where is that at?
That went in. That should have been approved. I can verify with Charlie, but they should have been added.
Okay. I know
So
it was
you
in the
may,
works.
you may see a little bit more. Don't know what the number
Yeah,
It's
was,
not
but it's so
because
tiny,
Was it
it's
8
so
cents a
tiny.
mile or something?
Well, no, it's, Oval's over a half mile, Ridge was only like
It's a
adding
tiny
like
section.
8 tenths to
Yeah.
Ridge,
But you might not really see any
It's not
difference
gonna be
in
a
the-
lot.
No.
because every year it goes up and down anyway, so it's hard to
It does.
tell what
Yeah, because even old ones starting to get cracks in it.
Yeah, but
I was
we,
up through there 2 weeks ago.
we did submit the information to Charlie in time for it to be added.
Mhm.
That was all done
Okay.
in, what?
Listen, since we talked about the weight thing, do you wanna do the ordinance?
Yeah, we can do it now, it's fine. Did you have any other comment on the weight limit ordinance, Russell?
I just want to make the township aware that this was publicly advertised for consideration this evening, and it was based on a study, a traffic study that was done, I think by Tom, probably about 2 years ago, and I would recommend adoption.
Comment?
No.
Someone make a motion that we adopt the signed orders for Clinton Avenue?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye. Ayes have it.
Craig, if I could get back one fully signed and stamped copy of that,
Yeah,
that way I can send it to the law library and then.
yeah. I'll make sure, we'll sign them, and then I'll make sure one dropped off.
All right, thank you.
All right, is that it, Ben?
No.
Okay, no, go ahead. No, you do have the floor.
Are we still, are we gonna do the line painting, or, because we kinda got sidetracked there? Should I contact them to get on the list, or?
Do we need to make a motion for that to be done,
So,
to spend the money? I'll make the motion that authorizing Ben to contract to get the said roads painted. Is that a second?
I'll second.
Okay, now what, come me,
the line painting.
Line. Jerry made the motion and I seconded it.
okay.
Do you need a list of roads, or?
Just the mileage, roughly.
Almost 10 miles, around 10 miles, roughly.
Okay.
Other thing, our plows don't like these small storms. I have to go down for parts for the plows. We have a broken, wheel hub, axle bolts broke, and, it took auger bearings this year. So we gotta get down to Cooks to get some more. And just the last storm out, that was Sunday morning, tire flew apart again, so we're gonna need a new tire.
You had those foam filled, did you?
Yeah, but now this was one of the older ones that
Okay.
came apart. So that'll be in spring, because we put the spare on, so. And then once we get this new hub, we'll have to get a tire on, unless they don't have a hub, then we'll get a tire from them right away and stuff, so. But I'll try to get down next week to get them. February 21st and 22nd, Dean Horner has their hardware inventory reduction sale down at Leesport at the market. When the weed whacker disappeared over at the park, we said about waiting, so that's coming up. Right now, they have 2 different sizes listed.
Yeah, they have a Husky on.
Well, there's 2 Husqvarnas. One's a homeowner straight shaft, and the other one's a contractor split shaft that you can get attachments on. That's listed already for brand new, so,
What time are you planning to go down?
I was gonna say, do you want me to go down, see?
Well, I'm planning to go as well.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go down about 9 o'clock.
Yeah, 'cause those
Well,
are sold, well, those are sold throughout the whole day, so, yeah,
Yeah,
almost gotta go down.
I'll get there by 8.
I'll be down by 9 if we're gonna go that route, so.
So you're gonna have a cost, but you can go to the retail store and buy them at, right?
Right now, the homeowner's version
Well,
is,
that's fine, I don't need to know.
well, is
What are they,
roughly
about
275, the contractor's 350,
Yeah.
if you go to the store now and buy them. So, do you wanna give me a limit of whatever on either one, or you want me just to bid on one? Or see wants what, you know?
Well, when we're down there, we'll look at them and that stuff, and it's like,
I didn't know if you wanted to come up with a number or not.
Were we looking for any attachments?
Well, I don't know if they'll have any, well, right now they don't have any attachments listed, but if we would go with that contractor one, isn't, you know, we could get a hedge
You can get a
trimmer on,
broom,
a
broom
broom,
in for it.
you know, so. I don't know if they'd have any.
I mean, you
of
can
those.
use it for a lot of different things. Those rubber brooms work really well.
Oh, that would
when
be
you're
great
cleaning
for
up
out here.
stones and stuff.
Very versatile.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know if you wanted to go that route, give an amount, a set amount, or whatever, so.
Here's my opinion, Ben. If the weed eater costs $300,
Go 400.
no.
Oh.
I said if you go to the hardware store, you can get for 300. If you know, time's not of any issue, you stand on there all day at an auction to say $25. Do you get a warranty at the auction?
Yep.
Okay.
It's from a hardware store.
Yeah.
It's M&S hardware that sells it
Okay.
overstock.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's all new stuff. It's all
Okay,
brand new
well,
stuff.
I'm just, you know, don't pay more than what you could buy off the street for. That's my
So
opinion.
no $500 for a $300 weed whacker then?
No, I'm just not gonna end it here.
So like the homeowner is like 250, so say like 175.
Use your discretion,
Okay.
okay?
And then, I guess we need to check them
Yeah, I talked to Craig about it.
Okay.
for. And also because of all the cold temps this year, our roads been opening up because of the deep freezes. They've been shifting, cracking. So, like to, usually we do it in fall, but I'd like to rent the crack sealer, the Sealmaster 260 crack sealer machine, and get 4 pallets of material for like beginning of April and stuff, if the weather holds out.
That's
So
pretty much what we used last year, wasn't it?
we didn't do any last year, the years before we did. So it's $1,800 for the week for the machine, and he said the material went up, so you're looking at probably $2,200 a pallet and stuff. But usually with the 4 pallets, we've got anywhere from 10 to 14 miles of road done with that. So,
It's worth it.
and that was when they were really cracked. I'm hoping they're not like what they were before, but I know we're still gonna crack. So I don't know if we'll even get that far along, but we gotta start, otherwise the roads are gonna go to shit real quick, so. He said April they should be out. He said as long as the weather starts holding above 45 during the day. They prefer 50, but at 45 they start running machines out, so that's a, you know, should I see if we can get it for that week and stuff.
I'm okay with it.
Other thing, my spare certification is up September, beginning of September. Last year I went to go to classes, but of course it snowed the 2 days. They have the local classes. So now LTAP has this one. Last year was out at State College, was the closest. Now this year it's up at Bradford on March 27th.
Which class is this again?
This is my sprayer certification.
Got it.
I need a total of 6 core and 8 right-of-way by September. This one, if I go to, will give me 3 core and 6 of the right-of-ways. So hopefully, I have to find one other class to go to this year, and then I'm recertified for another 3 years. So I can keep spraying. But since it's 2.5 hours away, I'd like to go up the night before, get a hotel room, take the class, get recertified, and then come back down. So, what do you think about that?
Well, it's something we have to keep up with. It just came up in a conversation today at a meeting at the borough. Those guys are, the roadmaster had failed his, the right-of-way portion of it. He's gonna be retaking. I'm gonna ask him tomorrow where he was going, but I mean, I don't have a problem
Well,
with getting set up for Bradford.
The test to get certified, you can take that down to the Ag Center and stuff. It's the
This is
research.
just for the credit.
Well, that's to get certified. The recertifications,
He has to get credits, and they
Yeah.
put meetings on.
they have classes. Last year, Grove had one down at the Leesport Market, and we had 5 inches of snow, so that got canceled. Zimmerman's equipment out at Bethel had one, we had 7 inches of snow that day, so that got canceled.
Here's my opinion, Ben. I'm okay for you to do what you're proposing, okay? But I think you ought to check Penn State Cooperative Extension. They offer a whole bunch of webinars where you can gain points, you know, sitting in your, at your,
Well,
sharing your
this
office.
is actually, it is Penn State and LTAP are throwing this
I
one.
understand, but I'm saying Penn State does do a lot of webinars online. So for the future or the balance of your credits, I'm saying
I can
to ask
check it,
you,
see if I can-
look into that, is what I'm
Because
suggesting.
I know when I got certified, they said you had to go to the recertification classes. So I don't know if this, I'll look into it, but like I said, that's why I was just looking at.
There's a whole bunch you can get online to get the balance you need for the year.
Another thing, did we, how are we looking for info for the mountain road? Did we get that certified, surveyed and?
Yeah, I have a plan. There are wetlands, a lot of wetlands. Here's 1117s.
They're all the same copies.
Yes, and then here's a large one for you to look at. So this shows the survey of the area and the low spot and where the culvert is. And this culvert is failing drastically. It's isn't it hand
You got
placed
one,
wrong?
you got one toward the right and one toward the left. Which one are you?
It's the larger one towards your left corner.
Left side,
That's
okay.
the large culvert that the mountain drains to that, and then this culvert is part of a tributary to the two flood dams. You know where those are along 78, Jerry?
Mhm.
Okay. So this is part of the path of all of that drainage from the mountain into Mill Creek. You're also losing the shoulder because there is such significant runoff that flies down the mountainside. And this is just a big point of concentrated drainage. It is what it is. But there are significant wetlands, as you can see. It's sort of a dotted hatching near the large culvert. So we have those to contend with too.
So what are your circular odd shapes on the?
Trees.
Oh, those are trees. The ones, they're over the road pretty good, yeah. So,
Yeah, they do hang over.
okay.
We haven't trimmed off what we could reach, but most of those are taller than what we could reach
Okay.
with the equipment we had at that time. So,
Yeah, it's not that their trunks
not-
are there, it's that
yeah.
the tree
Branches.
branches are hanging, way over, which adds to the shade in that area of the.
So after you drew up this fancy plan, what's the outcome?
Well, that's what I was waiting to discuss with you folks as to what
Okay.
you want us to do, but what you talked about is not going any further. We're discussing what your options are. This was why I put the grant in your package, so this could be something that if we move forward with a preliminary design, it could go in to that PA small water sewer, storm sewer, because this is a flooding issue and a stormwater problem. And this
So
is
what's the proposal here then?
nothing yet.
Oh, there's no proposal,
No,
okay.
nothing yet, but in other words, this would be something we could do a
This is-
preliminary
This is the
design.
first step. We got it surveyed, we got the wetlands marked out. So now the next step would be design
Right.
and then go from there.
Mhm.
So, I would say get the design and then go for the grant. That's what I would say.
Yeah, and the design is still there. If we don't get the grant, you can always apply for another one.
Yeah.
So ultimately, the road's washing out because this pipe's not taking the water away? Is that the,
There is no pipe? It's basically a stone, Swale.
It's a broken concrete culvert
yeah,
underneath.
the
It's
culvert.
broken-
Yeah, the
broken
culvert.
terribly,
But
plus-
I mean,
The one to the left here.
Yes,
Yeah.
plus it's from what I recall, it's hand-placed stone,
Yep.
which is failing.
Okay.
So you're losing your road because your culvert and your I'll call them hand-built retaining walls, this is very old, are failing. What's adding to the whole dilemma is all the stormwater from the mountain is flying down this section of the shoulder, and it's taking your road away. It's just, it's very turbulent. You put rock in, you've tried to save it, tried to do what you can, but it's just, the volume of the runoff is massive.
in heavy storms, it's a mess.
It,
I think
and it
that's
brings
the videos of it.
more debris down, it just adds. So it's not a simple solution. It's almost multifaceted. You know, for small storms and large storms, we've got to strengthen the edge of the shoulder as well as put in a pipe system.
And what we talked about is putting a perforated pipe in and putting riprap or number 4s on top to hold the pipe in place.
Yes.
That way you're still able to catch the water coming off the mountain.
Surface water.
Plus off the shoulder, the
Correct.
road itself.
That's just in the shoulder.
Yeah, that's in the shoulder. That doesn't have anything to do with the culvert.
That's
If you
correct.
see where it says Mountain Road, it's
Mm-hmm.
roughly from the N or O in Mountain to your left down to where the culvert goes across.
That's the worst part of the swale.
Yeah, that's the shoulder that Dave was just talking about, with putting that perforated pipe in there. Because right now, there's anywhere from 4-inch wide shoulder to 9-inch wide shoulder there, and it drops in 2 to 3 feet
No, more,
right off of that,
more.
so.
I think,
Mhm.
I think.
Well,
if you
there's
look
a
at
couple
this,
spots
it's-
that are deeper, but
Yeah, big time deep.
my thing is, there's no, if you get to the edge of the road there, you're down in,
You're in.
and you're not stopping until you hit the bottom.
Mhm.
So that over the years, we've put in huge shot rocks and stuff, because that was back years ago when I was here helping. I helped Paul put them in and stuff, and it just keeps washing away and stuff, so. We've done a lot of temporary work there. We should have did permanent work, but we did temporary work, so.
So who's gonna come up with the plan, what to address this problem then?
Our office.
Okay. Does it make sense to put more culvert pipes there along the way to slow down the water acceleration to the last culvert? I mean, you know, that's part of it.
There's nowhere to discharge it across the street, that's the
There's not.
problem, it's all private
There's only
property.
one place,
Yeah.
it's all gonna go down to that one culvert on
It's
the
still
left.
going to this one culvert that discharges to the flood dams. It still gets to the same point, I mean, good suggestion, but there's just no other area. And plus you have a pond there.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much
you can't
everything.
wash out the bank of the pond as well.
No.
Everything at the upper part, like pretty much halfway down is all higher anyway, so you couldn't discharge it, upgrade, so that's why everything's going down that side.
Yeah, that's your low point for that whole area. So shall I proceed with doing a preliminary design, just preliminary, to get a cost estimate created and apply for the PA Small Water Storm Sewer Grant?
Do you have any comment on that?
No,
On
she
this
said
project?
we have to move forward.
Yeah, I think I'm okay to move forward if they are.
That's all
Do we need
this-
that in the form of a motion, Russell?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Do we need that in the form of a motion to move forward with the preliminary design on this stormwater swale?
And apply for the grant.
Yes, yes.
Motion? Sorry.
I'll make the motion that SDE moves forward with the project proposed here on Mountain Road. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Another thing I have, the hometown hero banners, we need replacement pots. They're really taking a beating this winter also with the high winds, well, between fall and winter now. There's total of 4 of them that are ripped. I guess 2 got ordered already, and I guess she's gonna wait till spring to order the other 2 just in case it's more ripped. But she said about, I should order replacement parts, like the bands.
Yeah, the arms.
The arms,
The
and
bands.
brackets and stuff, so. Right now, I'm looking at the 4 arms, 10 of the mounts to hold the arms, and, 20 bands. Because right now there is 10 bands that are broke now. Or do you think I should get more bands? 'Cause right
Are
now-
you just getting enough just to fix what's broken?
Well, I was gonna get a couple extra,
Get
but
a
but
couple
now I
extra.
saw that I was gonna order 20, and that was only when there was 8 broke. Now I saw there was 2 more broke last week, and I saw there was 2 more broke, so,
And you said they were cheaper there than they going down to Miller's?
yes. And they're like the next up thickness, so they're a little bit heavier duty. And they are cheaper than Miller's.
So you have a boom truck to go up there and do this?
Ladder.
You're doing this with a ladder?
Yep.
I mean, we could probably get Mike Kirshner's
We
bucket truck.
used the bucket truck to install them because we weren't sure how high it is. But now, every time a band's broke, I'm not gonna ask him to get his bucket
No, I
truck.
understand, I
So,
understand.
we take the ladder out and shimmy up the ladder.
So,
And
we talked about this last time, in the monthly expenses here, we paid, I lost it, here it is, almost $500 for banners. Now, do we get reimbursed for that? Do we bill for that? Because that was talked about here.
we did before, that it was easier for us to order them, and then the families reimbursed what it costs and stuff.
So you sent you sent them an invoice then?
Yeah, well, what happens is, Schnook, that's her name.
Ruth Adams.
She does, yeah, Ruth does that, and then she'll take care of that, and they reimburse her, so,
We get them because we can get them tax-free.
right.
Then they turn around and reimburse us, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was for the 2 banners that were originally ripped. So now, like I said, now found these 2 other ones, but now she's gonna wait till spring. Because then also, we're gonna try to get a hold of Med Ed again, because she did apply, well, she sent in poll numbers to try to get more banners up, but they never got back to her. Because since we have, I think she said it's like 13
13 more people.
more banners that we could put up, that people want. So, hopefully, if we
Well, if
wait
we're
now.
maintaining, you gotta get the parts then, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like with the other banners and stuff, maybe in spring it'll be a big order if we get a hold of Med Ed and they approve these other poles to put them on and stuff, so. Instead of ordering two, you know,
Mhm.
try to do a bigger order, but yeah, as far as parts, yeah, we're gonna,
Yeah.
because I'm out of bands, so I can't even replace any right now, so. And then the last thing is, I am away from tomorrow afternoon to Monday AM. So, somebody else is gonna have to make the call this weekend if the crew goes out. Because last year, and at Christmas Eve, my phone is definitely gonna be turned off when I'm not here. So,
So do you have the second in command?
no, because I relied on him the last 2 times, last February and Christmas Eve. And
So what
he said that is not his position to make a call. He is not gonna call anybody. Somebody has to call him and tell him to come out and do his job.
Give me Randy's number again.
So,
I'm gonna be around all weekend.
so. He wants to be in that position,
Okay,
but he
that's
don't wanna
fine.
make that call,
If Dave's gonna manage it, that's fine.
Yep,
so.
just, yeah, give me his number. I don't remember if I saved it or not, but I'll get his number from you again and I'll talk to him before the weekend, because they're calling for rain anyway,
Yeah.
like 2 inches of rain.
Oh, yeah,
So it should-
it's question, like even tonight, you know, earlier they were saying we could have 1 to 2 inches of snow and then change it. Well, now it's today, well, now they're saying
It's supposed to rain tonight.
we might get something and then change the rain, so we're still,
Yeah, I'll be around.
alright, that's all I have.
All right. Any comment? No. All right. On to the park. We had the state police out at the park, was it 2 weeks ago? It looked like somebody tried to jimmy their way into the door on the stage, and Roger found it, so he called the state police, and I told him, don't go in there by yourself, wait for the state cops, and they pried the door open just to see if anybody was living in there, but there was nothing else going on in that stuff, and I asked Ben to stop over the following Monday to see if he could more secure the door a little better or whatever. I don't know if you're able
I
to
think
do
it's
anything.
I think it's a waste of time, because till we mount something on there, the door's falling apart anyway.
Well, why not just take the door out, get all the stuff out from the inside and block it shut. Block that opening shut, because you were gonna take the back off anyway. But he was saying there's quite a bit of stuff in there yet.
Yeah, there's a lot of moldy stuff in there from the
Well-
roof leaking. Because that was all gonna go in the demo.
Yeah, it was
when
all-
we demoed it and stuff. It was from there's old uniforms in there from when Edenburg had the softball team. There's the old games from when they had the picnics.
But it's nothing worth saving.
No, 'cause with the roof leaking, everything's rotted and moldy now.
Is there any way you can get it in a dumpster when we get the dumpster back at the park
No,
and empty it out?
we could.
Because we're already paying for the dumpster. You get it emptied out and then just block that opening shut.
Because even the other year, we needed 2 crowbars and a sledgehammer
Is
to
it,
pop the door
is that the
open.
whole structure? Everything back inside is that? Is that just one area you're referring to?
It's above the garage where we keep the
it's-
lawnmowers.
Where they mounted the roof to the backside of the stage, that's separated. So all the water was going right down in there. So it rotted the floor, rotted everything that was in there, and then it went down into the old restrooms.
Okay. But
Not
is that
good
the
seal.
whole, is that the whole?
So, I don't know how long it's been leaking, I only found it,
Okay.
was in 21, and it's been spreading,
It's on the list to talk about that too, so.
it's been spreading, so. We had talked about doing it over the one winter, I think that was 21, I think we talked about it, and then kept snowing, so we didn't do it, and it just keeps getting pushed off, because usually when we wanna do it, it snows. Like this winter again, it's just been back to back to back, so.
Well, see if we can get it emptied out
So,
and go from there. All right, nothing else at the park. Solicitor, Mr. Farbiar's.
Okay, couple of things that we've been working on over the last month. First is I worked with Craig on some of the initial documents for the 401A plan. I did not prepare them. I reviewed what was sent over and gave guidance on how that could be prepared. At Jerry's request from last month, I did look at the Municipal Records Act, and I sent an email out, I believe it was toward the end of last week, with a copy of the guide that had been put together, which has in it the schedules, and I copied Carl Healy on it. He also responded. I think this is going to be a fairly large project. I think it's doable, but it's not something that's going to happen overnight, and that there are certain steps we need to take. I really just sent out the information just so that at some point we can have a conversation. It does not need to be today, about what the timeline is and whatnot. But I think that this is something that you want to plan out. And perhaps when we have that conversation, maybe we want to see if Carl could be available via Zoom or whatnot, to advise on the technological piece. I did also send Carl the updated and signed solar ordinance, so that is up on the website. And then We adopted the weight limit ordinance, which we worked on. And then the other thing that we'll get to later on the agenda is the H&K Rahn's concrete plant.
Well, because Steve is still sitting here and we're paying him to sit here, why don't we do that now?
Okay. So
he doesn't have
again,
to sit for the rest of the meeting.
yeah, again, I sent out an email with the documentation, as I mentioned earlier. Sort of where we are in the process now, it is that this has been conditionally approved. The conditions were the preparation of these agreements. It took a particularly long period of time to go back and forth with H&K and their attorney, and then Kauffman Roush Family Farm Partnership, and their attorney is also involved. And the way the agreements are set up is that both H&K Group, which is the lessee and the applicant, as well as Kauffman Roush Family Farm Partnership as the property owner, are considered parties to the contract, and essentially considered. H&K is considered the developer, and then Kauffman Roush is considered the landowner. This is our standard agreement with regard to the improvements agreement, and I had sent it to Pamela as well to review. I don't believe that Pamela. I don't know how old the cost assessment is on this. I think you looked at it and said it was okay, but I just wanted to confirm that.
Yes, I think it is outdated, but it might only need to be increased by 5 or 10%. It's gonna be nominal. But I think it was over a year ago we dealt with this.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's the case as well. So that's really the only, and that's why I did not intend for this to be let's hurry up and adopt this. I want this to be, part of a process, and, give you the chance to digest some of this. Right now, we're looking at, $344,000 approximately as the cost. That'll probably go up, as Pamela said, 5 to 10%. And then it has our normal benchmarks in terms of reviews by the engineer before those funds can be released. There is also a holding tank agreement. So as was noted before, the holding tank is permissible, and the reason for this is there's no suitable site for an on sewage disposal system. So I'm not involved in whether or not the holding tank is appropriate. I was just asked to prepare an agreement. That's what we've done. This is would it require that that the holding tank meet the design standards and the applicable regulations, that there would be an escrow of $5,000 held by the township, and township can increase that. There are provisions for that, and that there would be an annual inspection by the SEO. Then the third agreement is just our BMP agreement. This really just comes right out of the ordinance. It's just our best maintenance practices. There's nothing unique about that agreement. So at this point, I don't know, Steve, if you have any comments, or if any members of the board have specific questions.
Yeah, I'm on here just in case anybody had any specific questions for me, so if anybody does, go ahead and shoot.
One thing I'll add is I had a conversation with Craig earlier, because this project involves his family. He will be recusing himself and not participating in this in the vote on this.
Was there anything that you needed to add, Steve? I mean, as far as, is everything seem pretty much in order for what they need to do to get final approval?
Yeah, I mean, this was a while back, but I mean, I remember this project getting, you know, now, since I only follow the planning, you know, I only handle planning commission, I don't go to the board meetings, but I mean, it's been, what, a year and a half, 2 years since it's, so I didn't know where, honestly, I didn't know where things stood with the, you know, the outstanding things after it got conditional approval. You know, it was typical boilerplate stuff, the improvements agreement, the stormwater agreement, all the stuff that Russell went over. And then also, I think they were still working on their NPDS permit, which they had just gotten. And then I think they were still sorting stuff out with PennDot. So, you know, all that stuff, I guess, was ongoing for the last year and a half or so. So, you know, I didn't really know where things stand, and I typically don't after conditional approval. You know, that's when kind of stuff transitions over to, you know, Pamela's office at SDE there. So I really don't have anything to add other than, you know, anything to add. You know, I agree with everything Russell went over, but, you know, certainly if anybody has any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Any comment?
I do have some comments. On January 24th, I sent an email to Pamela, Ryan, Steve, Russell, Craig, and Dave. This is 14th month of my term as supervisor, and this has been going on for 2 years, and I knew I was going to be asked to vote on it, so I wanted to bring myself up to speed, because the residents were quite upset in the community coming to me, as I stated in my email, about the activity going on that property and nothing being done about it. So I still have not seen any plans, which I asked on that email for January 24th. So I'm not against the project. It's a permitted product use in that zone, okay? That's not the issue, but before I'm asked to vote on something, I need to know what I'm voting for. And since there's nothing in the minutes, I went back into some of the video that's posted online, and 2 meetings in this, one in June of 23, supervisor meeting, and the other one in September of 23. And the representative for Rahn's made some comments that I want to bring to Steve and Pamela your attention here, okay? He testified, if you will, or made statements that there was going to be 4 employees on site. He went on to say there's going to be 10 drivers, there's going to be 10 cement trucks there and 10 drivers. He claimed the 4 employees is only going to generate 40 gallons of sewage per day. That's his statement. I don't know, okay? Well, the 10 truck drivers, when they come out and do a road project or come out and do work, pour concrete in my place, they usually don't ask to go in my house, use my bathroom, so when they go back, they're going to use that restroom. So that needs to be put in that calculation for that sewage. So that's another 100 gallons, if you use the same amount for the other 4 employees.
It's
That's
10. Yeah, that's correct.
That's
It's 10.
14, yeah, 14, okay? So then we have 10, 30, potentially 30 truckloads of cement going out a day, so that requires 30 truckloads of material coming in, which he testified to that too. So I'm sure those folks are going to want to use the restroom. So now we're over 200 gallons. Tom Unger sat right where you're sitting at, Pam, and said that per DEP's regulation, you cannot have a sewage holding tank if you're exceeding 200 gallons. That's his statement, which I saw on a video, him making that statement. So this math exceeds what they were trying to dance and say to be what's true.
Okay.
So that's one concern. And then we're going to have repair people coming in there working on equipment and vendors coming in, maybe customers. I mean, we're going to be over 200 gallons. Is that DEP's regulation? Do you know, Pamela?
I don't know off the top of my
Okay,
head.
he said
I'm
that.
sorry.
He said that, okay? So that's a concern. He also made a comment that they must submit pumping receipts to the township.
Yes.
Okay, so be it.
That's typically, yeah.
So be
that's
it,
standard,
okay?
yeah.
Another concern that I have, Russell, is there was which I was not involved in this debate, but there was debate with the community and supervisors, and the engineers about a traffic study being done on Old 22. And Tom was going to be the one in charge, because Russell, you said you didn't want to get involved with it, and Tom was going to take care of the traffic study with PennDot. And I have not seen that traffic study.
And I know that there was an HOP submitted, but that's all through PennDot.
Yeah, PennDot did the traffic study. We had nothing
Yeah.
to do with that since they're
Right.
both PennDot roads.
PennDot
Monument
Road.
Road and Old
But,
22.
but that wasn't, those results wasn't submitted to us then.
I thought we got them back.
I thought you did too.
Yeah, I thought we had gotten them back.
Tom
Well,
had
can we
so-
add that to the plans and the packet of information I'm looking to see
Mhm.
before I'm asked to vote?
Do you have any comment on that, Steve? That would've went through the planning commission.
Yeah, right, so they, like you said, Dave, you know, both roads are PennDOT roads. So they, and they, their main access is gonna be all, well, I guess their only access is gonna be off Monument Road. You know, so they're compelled to do, you know, any study-wise or improvement-wise, whatever PennDOT, you know, requires, for their HOP. I agree with what you said there. I don't know if you were asking me, Dave, just relative to that, or also the holding tank question too that Jerry brought up first.
Well, what's your
Yeah,
comment on
in
that?
my review, I deferred to the SEO. Since that's more of a septic issue, I think, you know, again, that would be probably Scott McCaffrey, I guess. Pamela can correct me if I'm wrong.
That's
Would
correct.
be looking over any regulations relative to that, and I'm sure Scott will pick up on, you know, if there's something bogus there, so, but yeah, that's something I deferred to, SDE's office.
Well, I think my sewage example is a relative reasonable interpretation. Does anybody disagree with that?
Well, I need to verify that with Scott.
Okay. Well, this is
On
what,
how-
this
on
is,
how he looks at it, right?
that video's online if you want to look at what was said, okay?
Mhm.
That's his story to the board,
The
okay?
HOK person.
Yes. That's what, this is all his
Mhm.
discussion.
Yep.
The other concern that I have here is, Dave Mazeka made a comment on the 13th of, September of 2023, in the public meeting, that on the plans, there had to be a comment on there that is not to exceed 600 or 700 gallons a day for water coming out of a well. That's what was said.
I don't remember what was in that study. That all would have been in that study,
was a
that
study.
hydrological study.
Yeah. That was all part of what was submitted to Steve,
Yeah.
you know.
So.
Yeah, they had an yeah, they did a hydrogeologic study, you know, and, you know, any of those types of numbers would have been in that study. What Dave might have said, I don't know, I can't speak to that specifically, but there is a study that, you know, has estimates of how much they're, you know, they anticipate drawing from their well for the process.
So Steve, where are they gonna obtain the water? Are you saying that they're saying, if that statement's true, you guys can go back and confirm it, they're only gonna use 600 or 700 gallons of water a day there?
I don't have the study right in front of me, Jerry, but
Okay.
I don't know if the study says that, then I'd have to go back and look at it. I don't have it open right in front of me.
Okay, well, I just
Check on
wanna,
it and verify that and get back to you, Jerry.
okay, I just wanna go through an exercise to put this in perspective for everybody, okay? Anybody can Google this online and search this out to verify my numbers. This is what the numbers are. To make a quote-unquote dry mix of concrete, a 10-yard truck takes 33 gallons of water. And if that truck goes out to a site to do a lot of flat work, such as, you know, floors or sidewalks or things of that nature, they typically add more water to it. And they also need to wash that truck out when they get done to that job site before they go back for a refill for the next load of concrete. So I'm estimating it's probably taking close to 50 gallons of water to make the mix. They leave the plant with 33 in it, and they get to the site, they add some more to it. And they might use 50 gallons to wash that truck out. That's 100 gallons. At 30 loads a day going out is what they project. Some days might be more, some might be less. That's 3,000 gallons of water a day for 30 truckloads of cement. Then they need to wash the plant down. I'm assuming they're gonna use 500 gallons a day. Then they need water for people washing hands and restrooms, so let's say it's another 200 gallons. So we're at 3,700 gallons a day. So my question is, do they have another plan? And they also are gonna take water and reclaim some water. And if they catch all the surface water from rainfall events and consider evaporation, they might be able to get enough water that way, but is that water gonna be clean enough to use in the process? I don't know. So again, I don't know what the plan is.
You have to use potable water for state mix.
So you can't use rainwater. Okay,
It's gotta be potable water.
okay. So Dave, you can look this up. This is all, you
No,
know.
I drove concrete truck, I
Okay,
know.
all right. Am my numbers
I
close?
agree with your numbers,
Okay.
but maybe I may have said that at the meeting, but I don't know what the number was in the
Okay.
study. The study, like Steve said, he's gonna have to look through the study and
Okay.
and see what they present.
All right.
Because that's what was approved, their study.
My only point is, and Russell, I'm not against the holding tank, but I think we gotta look at all these facts to get them before we make it, I can make a decision on it.
No, I understand, but I also want to remind the board that where you are in the process is that you've given a conditional approval. So if what is submitted meets the conditions, then if you don't approve it, you open yourself up to potential litigation because you've already approved this. Now, I think that Jerry should get copies of the plans, which I would imagine, Craig, you have, in township records. And we can certainly ask a representative from H&K if they want to come to the next meeting to answer any questions that you might have. I mean, again, this was not intended to prompt a vote this evening, and it doesn't have to prompt a vote next meeting either, but it needs to be looked at.
Russell, you're the legal expert here, and I trust your opinion, but I will say this back to you on this. If they misguided the people that were sitting here before in the planning commission board, okay, they have some legal recourse on themselves too, because they misrepresented what they're saying here.
Well, yes, but remember that all of that information was also reviewed by your experts, and a recommendation was made. Now, if the facts have changed, they said they were going to do one thing and now they're going to do another. You also do have the option of, rescinding the conditional use approval, the conditional approval. I'm not recommending that because I think that will also land you potentially in court. But I think that you need to get the answers to the questions that you've raised.
So Jared, based on your estimates, you're saying you think they're gonna use up to what, 3,700 gallons a day?
Yeah, I just did some research, and that's what, and Dave just confirmed those numbers seem to be in line.
Yeah, again, I'll go back and look at the report and see what's in there, and I'll follow up with you, but just, if the report would have said 3,700, the township really can't restrict the amount of water they draw from a well anyway. So even if it said 3,700, there's nothing really that the township could do about it. It's no different than a farmer drawing water to water fields or, give water to the cattle.
I understand, but I don't know what they said they were gonna use. I'm just saying it's on record that Dave Mazeka said.
I get that.
Yes.
If they misinterpreted it and it's clear, then yeah, I agree that that's a problem. So I'll definitely follow up on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Can I mention something? As a citizen, just a concern for the water table. And I don't think farmers draw, that kind of money. You've worked fields before.
Yeah, well, we don't irrigate around here much.
I guess, just water table concerns as a citizen.
Well, check that survey out, Steve, and if you see any concerns or whatever, bring it up at the planning commission meeting next week.
Yep, I'll look into it, guys.
Thank you.
All right, do we have anything else here on that Steve needs to be around for? Everything with Edenburg self-storage, is that
Good night, guys.
is that a go?
That's a call.
Was there anything else you needed, guys?
I don't. But what about the self-storage was the question?
Yeah, did you have any comment on the self-storage, Steve? For
No,
in Edenburg?
No, again, not unless somebody has a question for me. I think we had recommendation for conditional approval on that.
Okay.
That's correct. There's a recommendation for conditional approval. Again, this is gonna need improvements agreements, and a BMP agreement as well.
Yeah, I don't have anything further.
Okay, Russell, what do you want to let them do their presentation now while we're talking about it? In case Steve would have any comment or anything? Do you guys want to go ahead and do your presentation or whatever? Before Steve leaves.
Hi, my name is Luke Camp. I'm with the Crossroads Group. We are the surveyor and civil engineer for the project. The applicant, Joshua Yupa, is looking to expand his existing self-storage property at 122 Windsor Avenue. Currently, there is about 11,000 square feet of self-storage units amongst 3 buildings. And he's looking to add about another 10,000 with 2 new buildings in the rear, and an addition to the existing building in the middle here. We've been through this with Steve, with the Planning Commission. We've addressed most of his comments. The only remaining ones are agreements and stuff like that. I do have a couple waiver requests that we need to go through if you'd like to. And other than that, we're just looking for the conditional approval.
What were the waiver requests?
Thank you.
So the first one is just to submit the plan as a preliminary final, instead of going through the 2 separate processes, just because of the size of the project and it's relatively small. So we're just asking that it be handled as one process, preliminary and final at the same time. Second one is about the scale of the key map. We used a larger scale than what is required by ordinance, but it's still very visible, and you can see where the site is and everything. So we're just asking a waiver of the scale. The next one is water resources study. There's no water proposed at the site. There's no water existing at the site. There's no water needed at the site, so we're asking a waiver of that. Next one is installation of curbs, and then installation of sidewalks. We're just asking a waiver of that. There's no curbs and sidewalks out there right now, and we're not proposing any improvements along the frontage of the property, so looking for a waiver of that as well.
Had you seen these, Russell? These waiver requests?
Yes, I've seen them. We reviewed them at the Planning Commission, and I don't see any reason why you can't entertain a motion to grant those waivers.
The planning commission recommended that the board approve those waivers.
Any comment?
No, I do not have any problem.
Okay, well, would someone make a motion to approve the waiver request from Crossroads Group? I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
I will second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. So then this plan would be, they're submitting it as final, for final approval tonight?
Conditional,
Could-
conditioned on
They need the,
improvements agreement and BOP agreement to the satisfaction of the solicitor.
any comment on that?
No.
Would you have someone to make the motion?
This is for conditional approval, right?
Yeah, contingent of the improvements agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And the posting of security, which will be part of the agreement.
Okay. I'll make the motion.
So a second,
I'll second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it.
All right, thank
All
you.
right, you're good to go.
Can we get the plans signed tonight, or do we have to wait till next month? No?
No,
Okay,
No, because we still have conditions to satisfy.
all right.
and usually what we'll do with a lot of times is, I don't know if we could sign them at your office, what if they get you those in between meetings
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you meet the conditions and let Russell know, and then he can get back to us,
Okay.
and then we can handle it from there.
All right, sounds good.
All right?
Thank you.
All right, moving on to old business, 25 budget review. We just talked about that last month. Process of paying monthly invoices, any comment on that?
On the budget review, thank you, Craig, for adding those numbers at the bottom so we kind of know what it is. I will still maintain this myself personally so we can track it to the budget, okay? So that's where that's at.
See you guys, thank you so much.
Thank you. The next one on the list, are you,
Can I say something about the insurance review?
well, we're getting into that now, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be meeting with the rep on, not, what was it, the 24th or something, last Monday of the month, he's gonna come and, when we opened this building, he came and walked through to check it out. Now he wants to walk through all the buildings just to verify.
And then he'll be at next month's meeting
Probably.
from Thompson.
That it?
Uh,
I have something to add too, but I'll let you finish.
Okay, I did look over the insurance,
I sent Ben the list of schedule insured assets.
the assets and stuff. There is gonna be changes on there. Because we still have on the side mower that we sold on auction bid, on municipal bid, that's still on. But we can take that off, but since we got that flail mower from Coonroof, we can more or less flop that over. There was a couple other changes on there too, update it and stuff, so.
So I reached out to this person and they sent me a little cleaner list than what you forwarded me, Greg. And couple concerns that I think we ought to have a consideration. Don't make a decision tonight, but have consideration on it. The rolling stock, such as the trucks and equipment, we have $1,000 deductible on it, okay? And that's fine. My concern is all the buildings have a $250 deductible on it, and I think we ought to maybe price a higher deductible to lower the insurance cost. I think we ought to look at that. I mean, if we lost the building, I think we can, afford more than $250. Maybe we can save ourselves thousands in insurance. each one of these buildings are listed, and they're all 250. I do have a question. We're talking about the old stage at the park. And that's being insured at $52,500. If it's no good, do we stop insuring it, the structure? Not cancel liability insurance, but
We keep all of our equipment in the basement though.
Yeah, but that, the zero turn insured, track back's insured separately. So, everything that's in there is, but worth value is insured separately.
What if somebody falls on the stage?
Well, wouldn't
Where does
be
that-
under-
that's under liability. I'm not saying we have to decide this tonight, but I think we ought to consider this.
Because it's blocking.
I'm just saying we ought to, when the rep comes, we ought to, you know, get this, you get the list of equipment corrected. And I think we ought to talk with them and get a quote on the raise of the deductible on the buildings to see what we can save on that end. And we can talk to him about that stage building. And Ben, when he comes, looks at it, make sure you point out we're considering that, you know, maybe not insuring, see what he has some input on that, okay? The last question I have on this is, have coverage of $4,625 at 730 Monument Road, and they could not tell me what we were even insuring there.
That's the monument. The War Memorial Monument.
No, that's a different line. It says description is building description, family dwelling, secretary's house.
Right.
So there's $4,625 coverage there, and they don't have anything listed what we're insuring.
That should be changed. That's when we had the printer and all of that material there. That was the township property.
Okay, so
It's
there's,
now here.
so there's nothing there that we're insuring.
Right.
So that should be come off.
Right.
Then you point that out when he comes.
I'm trying to make notes.
Well, you have a copy of this. I
Yeah,
sent
but I'm
you.
trying to make notes on
Okay.
what to ask them.
All right, so are we all in agreement that when the rep comes, we're going to ask, see what the options are?
Mhm.
It makes sense to not insure something, maybe we should insure something at a higher number value or whatever.
See what it does to the rates.
Okay. All right, that's what I have on that topic.
Well, before we go on, I see Steve is still on. Steve, we're finished with you for the night.
All right, very good, guys. I'll follow up on that stuff with you. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks for
right,
your
guys.
time.
So, take care.
All right, see you. All right, then item number 2, process of paying monthly invoices. Any comment on that?
No, I think we discussed that in great detail, what's the proper procedure should be there.
All right, where are we at with jobs descriptions for all paid township employees? Had you come up with any examples for job descriptions?
We had given the labor was there other ones you wanted me to look at? I think I had also shared
Well, I
the
think
township secretary, I believe.
what I
Some
asked,
others
Dave,
did
you
some-
recall what I asked was, is each paid employee come up with a list of duties. If they didn't want to write their job description, I would write it. Just needed a list of tasks. Ben submitted to me his duties, what he did here this past week. So that's the only one I have
And you
so
have
far.
this, you have the seasonal one that I wrote too, as the labor,
Yes.
which is,
Yes.
covers the majority of Ben's duties too.
Okay.
The PSATs.
I looked at that PSAT, it's very general and
But
vague.
again, it's a starting.
It's a
point.
starting point,
It's a
yes.
starting point if you have others.
So I'm Dave, I'm just waiting for more feedback. So we'll just have to keep that hanging out as that comes.
All right. Outstanding tasks to be done, unclaimed property, 401 retirement plan. You have that paperwork for that, correct?
Yeah, we have,
We have to advertise for it.
right, and Russell's aware of that, and we just Can you hear me, Russell?
Yes, I can.
As far as the advertisement for the retirement plan, you said you have a date. How many days do we recommend that would be done?
I don't think that there was a specific date, but I think I had recommended, giving like 45 to 60 days to get proposals, just so that there's enough time
Right.
for those to come in. I think that would probably make sense.
Has it been advertised then?
That's
what we're
we
doing
need,
now.
we need to have a motion tonight for that advertisement
Right.
to be placed.
Okay.
And you need to decide whether, what that time period is. Is it 45 days? Is it 60 days? Is it something else?
I think the less the better.
The risk with that, Jerry, is
Well,
that you
if
may
you
not get
recommend
anyone.
45, we'll go 45. I'm just saying, go with the light
Yeah.
side, what you recommend.
I think 45 is the minimum. Remember, if you go too short and you don't get any proposals, then you got to do it again.
Well, so, listen, I'm not the one to create this situation, meaning it is what it is.
Right.
If somebody else comes along and puts some lowball bid in, we're not gonna accept it because they're not PSATs and they're not gonna give us all that funding. If you recall, they're going to fund,
Yeah.
they are going to fund us $7,000 a year in 3 years.
Right.
Anybody else that's, some other retirement fund wants to come along, they're not gonna give us that money, so we won't choose them
Yeah.
anyways.
And I think that the reality is that it's going to be PSATs because who else is going to bid on it? But
Okay,
so I think that 45 days is fine.
okay.
How many days? 45%?
45.
Okay. And we should have a motion to authorize that to be advertised with a 45-day limit.
I make that motion.
I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Now, once that is advertised, and Craig needs to send that to Harry,
Mm-hmm.
and then he can start the process then.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there anything else in number 4 you wanted to talk about?
Yes, Craig, did you do anything with the unclaimed property?
Not at this point. I have looked it up, but there's no action on it.
Okay. The park rental agreement,
Yeah, with the park rentals, Roger said he has 13 confirmed already for this year. They're on the schedule.
Did you bring a copy of what we had approved in the past?
I did.
You have it?
I have it, and it's not the same as the one Russell recently sent. It's very similar, but it's been modified. And my concern right now is this park agreement, we don't have anybody to clean the park. The current park agreement, not the one that Russell recently sent, the one that Roger's been using, talks about deposit in there, but there's been no deposit being collected. So, we can continue to kick the can down the road, but after the first rental and there's nobody to clean it, what's the plan?
Well, that's the thing, it's hard to have people police themselves, because what do you do if there's one on Saturday and one on Sunday, people pay the deposit, whatever it is, and they decide, oh, the heck with it, we're not gonna clean up. The people are gonna show up on Sunday to a dirty park.
So,
So you have to have something in place, or somebody's gonna have to check it.
Well, what do we do if we have no one to do it?
Backups. My wife.
Are you guys still interested?
Yeah.
Well, there we go. I mean, it's just basically a matter of going down and checking it, making sure nothing's broke or anything like that. And you'll get paid for it. I forget what we were paying Fatima.
Well, the labor rate.
Yeah.
so, thank you, okay? I think ultimately what we want to get to is, and it's too late now because there's too many agreements people already agreed to rent at the current contract. But I think for next year, we need to start this now, or not tonight, but soon, to update this agreement and collect a large deposit. And if they don't clean it, somebody like himself can go check it, and he's the emergency backup cleaning person, but that's what it comes to.
And then that money is used
Yeah,
to
that'll
pay
cover
him.
his
Right.
wages.
That's right.
Right.
Well, if you guys want to do it, I appreciate that, you know. You guys aren't that far away.
Because we have vacations and stuff planned in this.
Well, yeah, you know, we'll work something out.
I will get you a calendar that he already made up
Okay.
and then a set of keys in. Because he already has it, the ones that were already booked, he already has a calendar
Sure.
made up and stuff.
So maybe you want to do a walkthrough with either Ben or Roger, just to show you everything in that.
So, but still, do we need to make a motion that we're going to adjust this current agreement for 2026? When do we get that done? Because Russell's agreement doesn't talk about deposit. The agreement that Roger's been using has been a patchwork of add-ons, and
If you have something in mind, why don't you just put it together
I
and
can
send
put
it
it
to
together.
Russell?
Okay,
You just send it to Russell and he can
All right.
finalize it and bring it back to
And
us.
then you have the analysis of the
Yeah,
suggested
that's no
costs
big
that
deal.
are
Yes.
similar
Right.
for this area.
That's right.
So you have, I think,
okay,
everything.
that's
you
fine.
need.
I just want to make sure it gets done for next year then.
Absolutely.
The next item on the list is the filing of records, and, you know, we've been talking about that. Craig said he's gonna work on trying to use some of those filings. And we had what Russell presented, but that's a bigger animal to bite off at this time. Letter of PennDOT was for that road posting. The documents posting on the website,
That was taken care of on the 18th. I was on the phone with Carl on Saturday. We did all the upgrades on all the personnel changes. We got rid of all the blogs that we didn't need to have on there anymore. And then Carl and Russell had communicated about how they wanted to do whether they want to use PDF or Word to adjust the website, and that's all taken care of. With the solar ordinance was the thing, that should be posted already. I think Carl sent an email out saying that was already posted. But
It's posted.
The
I checked.
website is up to date now.
Yeah, I checked earlier today, and it's posted. And that's sort of a Band-Aid at this point, because eventually what I really need to do is go through the zoning ordinance and update the master file, and then he can post that, because the solar ordinance is a part of the zoning ordinance, so it doesn't really need to be a standalone.
Yeah.
We also should get our entire code of ordinances up there, because we have more than just the zoning ordinance and the saldo, but those are the ones that are most popular. So those are the ones that are up there right now.
And you're gonna work with Carl on that, correct?
Yes.
and Craig, when you send the minutes and the agenda, can you just hit the button and convert to PDF, so when he posts it, it's in a PDF form versus a Word document?
I guess we can do that.
Because they should be posted as PDFs, not Word.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can go back and change all those, can he?
If he should be able to convert them to PDFs and then re-upload them.
Okay. It's just good practice.
Agreed.
And another thing that was updated on there was Becky Reinhardt's sitting hours for tax collection for the year. I used to do that every year, but I had Carl on the phone, so I figured I'd just let him do it right away. We went through everything. Because you have an admin password, Carl has one, and I have one. Do you have one for changing the website? Okay. Yeah, I usually did that.
I have one too, but I don't use it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been, I use it once a year just to do Becky's stuff.
Yeah.
So. All right. That's it on the new business. The new email for Windsor Township, that's something Craig has to work with Carl on.
Yeah, and then that, it's just a matter of when do we want to do it, because it'll make some changes.
I have that email right here that was sent. It's not a deal breaker, but he suggested down the bottom here to shorten up that, Windsor Township, Berks County.
Well, him and I talked about that, and we would have to create another domain name to do that, I believe, from what he was saying, and it's, when I go to a site that I go to often, I bookmark it. I don't have to type it in every time, and anybody knows how to use a tablet or a computer could do the same thing.
Okay, well, he
So it's not
suggested
worth
that.
changing,
Okay,
because you're gonna
fine.
get added cost to it.
Okay, fine.
The only reason I think, there is a Windsor Township in York County. It doesn't
Yes.
happen that
Yeah,
often,
yes.
but you want to make
Right.
sure it's explicit as to which is which.
So do we have to adopt, when do we make this change, is my question?
Well, you can change your email anytime. What happened to the tablet that Carl gave us? He gave us an iPad. Do you have that?
No?
Well, we have to look in the office, because
Okay.
the reason I have this tablet and a Yahoo email address, the iOS system in this tablet won't work with the website. So my Yahoo account is my township account, and it's free. So when I leave this tablet, we'll go to the township, because the township bought it. We paid $32 for it.
And that's an Android device, right?
This?
Yes.
No, this is an Apple.
Oh, that is an Apple?
Yeah, that's Apple.
Well, you
And
gave,
I gave you that one, but you would have had to set up a Yahoo account.
but that wasn't an iPad, was it?
Yeah, it's the same, I have it sitting at home. It's the same thing as this.
Well, maybe I
But
do
that's
have it.
the
I
iOS.
thought you gave me one that was an Android device, if you will.
Now,
And
if you have one, you probably have Carl's then.
I don't know, I
that Apple.
gotta go look for it.
Yeah, check it out, because what you have to do then is you could create, he already has an email address for you
But he
that
wa-
we're paying for.
It wouldn't work. We couldn't get it to work.
We couldn't get it to work on the one that I gave you, but the one that Carl gave you has a more updated iOS system in it, and that one will work with the township
So
website.
do you think I have two?
What's that?
Do I have two?
No, you only have one. I have the brother of this one at my
Oh,
place.
okay, I don't.
Yeah, that's why you didn't take it, but I kept it and created a Yahoo email address.
Okay,
For the
I'll have to
township.
look for it.
So look for that, and then use that as far as getting your account set up, and you can get a hold of Carl and he'll set it up for you. Because there's already a space for it. In the space that I was gonna have, we are gonna make a township admin email address, rather than buying another one, because I don't need it, because I'm gonna still use Yahoo till the end of the year. So, yeah, but the extra,
So why
email address that
aren't
we're
you-
paying
why-
for.
Why aren't you changing it?
because I already have this for free. This is already done. It opens up another email account that we can make an admin email account for the township. Because we're already paying, I think, for,
There's so many,
Three.
so
I
many,
don't know.
so many
Yeah.
email accounts you're paying
when you
for.
talk to Carl and you set up your email, have him explain it to you.
Okay.
But this is my township email on a township tablet.
And this would also be a Yahoo.
No, his will be,
It will work
On
on
the
the other
domain.
tablet on the regular.
yes, this
It doesn't
tablet
have,
just
it could be on
won't.
my phone. I don't need a tablet. I could load that email on my
Oh,
phone or my personal computer and get it there too. Different account.
Can he do that, Russell, put it on his personal phone?
I wouldn't
I think that
recommend
was the
that.
whole conversation, that we shouldn't have done
Yeah.
on his personal phone.
I wouldn't recommend that, because then if there's a right to know issue,
Yeah,
the
but
township may have
it's
to
on
take
the
your phone.
domain. It's on the domain. It's on the server. It's not on my, you can
It's,
pull it from my.
it's on your device. I mean, this is why Pamela carries two cell phones.
Yep.
You know, my wife who works for the county, carries two cell phones, like that, I would not recommend putting your township email on your personal cell phone.
And that was another thing, are we getting Ben a phone? Because he's
Yeah, whatever
He-
happened
He's
with that.
using an Android tablet that we bought years ago to do email, but he's still using his personal phone for
Township business.
township business. And you said you researched phones from Comcast?
I did, but yeah,
But he's still using his personal device, that's the problem.
Well, I'm not gonna carry an iPad around with me to get emails throughout the day, and it's not connected to the web.
Well, I just check mine at the end of the day. I mean, I don't check it all during the day and that stuff. When I get home from work, I check them. I mean, there's not anything that needs immediate action. I mean, it's a right to know thing. You know, Russell.
So why aren't you, based on Russell's concern, then why aren't you using a township email then?
I created a township email.
But it's not.
Through, it's just not through the website. All the township emails come on that township email on a township tablet.
At the Yahoo.
Yeah, and it's just a Yahoo account because it won't.
But you own that Yahoo account, that's the whole issue here. Same as my phone, you own that account. The township doesn't own it. But when you use the township email, they own the account and they have access to all of it. And I'm almost certain you can get it through the domain. If I send all kind of emails, I might have that township email, this new township email on this phone, and then you want something from this phone and I smash it, you can't get it. You already have it because it's already on the domain. That's why you're using the township domain.
Jerry, you're technically correct. You know, I think the gold standard here would be to use a township email for all the supervisors, so that township owns the email, owns the data. It's on the domain. I think at this point, with Dave leaving at the end of the year, I'm not sure that I would. You know, I think that what he has done is sort of second best at this point. So I don't think that it's worth reconstructing everything, you know, since he's not going to be on the board after this year. But I think going forward, that's not really the best way to handle it.
And it's no cost to the township. Any other comment?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna just say, to beat a dead horse here, but this isn't costing township now anything either, okay?
All right. We took care of Edenburg self-storage. Item number 4, January 6th, there's a correction that needs to be made in the minutes. The wages for Carl Healy was put in the minutes as $375 monthly. That should have been $375 quarterly.
That was an error on my
That was
part.
that was just the one word was wrong in that.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. That's not how it was presented. Okay. It's still $1,500.
Yeah, right.
Because before, at the meeting,
At the meeting,
at this meeting, it was presented as $1,200 per year, and we went to $1,500.
1,500.
Okay,
But you're paying quarterly.
okay,
That
You're
375
paying
times.
quarterly, and
okay.
I made a typographical
That's fine, that's
error.
fine. I just wanted to make sure we had that understood.
So I make a motion that we revise the,
Well, there's another issue.
what's that?
On the minutes from the 6th, it has here, Gwyneth Fowler presented a document stating her desire to be retained as township manager or secretary assistant. I did not know she was being paid now.
She's not. I think that what she presented was a document, you know, with some suggestions for improvements, and part of her presentation was suggesting that she would be a good person for that position.
And that
But
was
she's
sent,
not.
that was sent to all 3 supervisors in the form of an email.
And then also presented at the meeting, but I mean, she's not a township employee now.
Yeah, but it says retained is what it says here. So that's not correct.
What does it say?
It says Gwyneth Fowler presented a document stating her desire to be retained as a township manager or secretary assistant.
Here's the document.
Well, right here it is, it says right here, retained. You can read it right there.
Okay, so that needs to be changed as well.
Okay.
So we need to amend those
Well, what
two
word-
items.
What word would be removed?
Retain would be taken
Yeah.
out.
Well, just like Russell said, she made an offer for, to help if we wanted to seek
The very
services.
last sentence in her document that she presented to us, if I read it, I humbly request you consider me for this paid position because I could save the township money, et cetera, et cetera. You know, so she went through all of this and it is then offering her
Services.
services, right?
But yeah, but she wasn't, what it says is she's trying to be retained. She's not an
The
employee
minutes say that she's being retained, and that's incorrect.
Yeah,
Okay.
she offered her
Yeah,
services.
so we're just amending the minutes.
Amend the minutes that she's offering her services.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so we make those two amendments to the January 6th minutes.
Excuse me, can I comment on this?
Go ahead.
My comments are being mischaracterized. I didn't ask to be retained. I just said if the township was looking for assistance and they were gonna put out a job opening, that I'd like to be considered for the position. And the third thing was, I did mention in that email, I believe, that you mentioned that the auditors were setting the salaries. The auditor meeting happened after that meeting occurred, which there's no reason that should be in the minutes.
Yeah, that says it right here.
And I did bring up all these concerns with Russell after the meeting, and he told me to reach out to all three of you.
You're right, that has to be changed.
Yeah.
For years, I called the auditors and asked them what happened with that.
Yeah, I'm not, I didn't bring that up. She just brought that up here. I just was telling you, I was concerned about
And
that
of course,
salary.
you know, the only thing that the auditors do is they have to approve the wages for people who are members of the board,
Okay.
right? And that, in this case, that's only myself, you know, with that. But all the other wages are, you know, that's the job of the supervisors.
Yeah, okay. It was a minor thing. I was more concerned about that one there.
So you want to make the motion to amend those two things in the minutes?
All right, right.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, schedule of insured properties, we went through that. And I'll walk around with the gentleman or whoever they send.
Yeah, I
And we'll
forget his
go
name.
through everything and then, yeah, bring some of those other things up so he's not surprised next month when he comes here.
Craig, would you be available, I think it's 10 a.m. on the 24th, he's gonna meet me here. Would you be available too, if he has any other questions?
Yeah. Just remind me,
I think it's 10 a.m. right now.
okay?
All right, township email accounts we talked about. Professional services and supervisor duties.
Pass that around, please. Big copy. Russell, what I just passed out, which you're not here to see this, is I went to the Township Supervisors handbook and did some research online, okay? And the board has been struggling with this for some time. And there's a section in there I highlighted, and there's an attachment to this document, which is an email on the second page that I sent to Russell Barbiar's, Ryan Wessner, Pamela Stevens, Craig, Dave Mazeka, and Ben Son. And that email goes into the concerns that I have about the cost and this tax increase that we increased, and trying to be responsible with the taxpayers' money. And there's really one sentence here that's relevant. It says, as such, any township supervisor must first receive authorization from the Board of Supervisors before proceeding to act on behalf of the township. And what I'm asking here is for SDE, the law firm in Great Valley, to recognize that if one board member comes to you to do a project, that's not the way it's supposed to happen. It's supposed to be the whole board agrees to hire the service. And I won't get into examples that recently took place, but we have to all agree before we hire these professional services. And
Jerry, one thing I will point out to you is that the second-class township code does have certain responsibilities that are delegated to the solicitor, and I believe also to the township engineer. You know, and I can certainly send you the sections so you can review them. But there are things that are by law delegated. You know, when you hire a solicitor, when you hire the township engineer, that you are delegating those tasks that don't necessarily require, you know, a vote of the board. And my concern is that, you know, for instance, Craig came to me and said, I have all this 401A paperwork, it's a little confusing. Or, you know, by what you're saying is I shouldn't help him until we have a board meeting and there's a vote that says I can help him. Well, that's just gonna slow things down. You know, I think that there has to be some judgment and common sense used here.
And we had already made a decision to advertise that, go through with that motion, as if you're using that as an example, at the last meeting.
Yeah.
So it was just a matter of getting help to take care of the paperwork to make sure everything's squared away so we get that submitted. The board had already made that decision.
that's fair, okay? If we're paying a secretary to do certain things, there's a certain amount of things that needs to be done by the secretary. If the secretary hires professionals to do all of it, then instead of paying $200 an hour, we could probably save $180 an hour by hiring an assistant to do some of this work. That's what I'm saying. Maybe the 401k is not the perfect example, but apply that where it's necessary. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
I
saying.
just don't want to see things get slowed down, because I know that there are things that you all want to get done. And I also, you know, I mean, this is why, you know, when we do an ordinance, you know, even though, you know, it's within my purview as the solicitor, and you can look at section 1103 of the second class township code, which defines the duties of the solicitor. I always bring it to you and ask for authorization to advertise it, you know, because it's going to incur a cost. I mean, and that's the reason that I do that. And you usually direct me to prepare the ordinance. But there are day-to-day things that come up. I mean, there are questions that Craig has, and you know, to be honest with you, usually if Craig gives me a call to talk about something, I don't bill the township for that, because that's just part of, you know, we've historically not billed for that, for those telephone calls, to try to sort of keep things moving along, you know, so that, you know, if there's something that he's confused about, because let's face it, as things have gotten more complicated, not less complicated over the years. And so there often are questions about, you know, how to fill out certain forms and whatnot, and I'll provide that guidance to Craig. But I think that if for those sort of minute things to require a board vote is really just going to grind things to a halt.
What about copying everybody in on everything then?
I actually do now. Usually like if Craig sends me an email about something and when I respond, I generally will add you and Dave on that so you're aware of it.
I think that's what we need to do, okay? Because there was a lot of surprises on the invoice, all right? For a lot of little things, and it adds up to a lot of money.
As far as what?
Does.
As far as what?
Well, every email has a flat fee charged to it, okay?
Sure.
All right, it's not change.
Any phone call.
And Pamela, there's nothing against you or Ryan here, but right now, we're almost to 20% of the budget for the year for the township engineering column, okay?
Mhm.
And we're 1 month in, 20% of the budget. I will tell you, I'm not against this Mountain Road thing, but that was a one-person man that told you what to do there. That wasn't the board decision.
And that's why, excuse
Okay.
me, I asked for it in an
Yes.
official vote.
Yes, yes.
Um,
That's what I
we
want to
move
get to.
forward. Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to go all night, go through the past, but that's what I'm asking going forward.
Well, we had a meet out on the job to decide what was the best course of action to take to resolve the problem. No decision was made at that point because we didn't have any,
Had no survey.
we had no survey or anything like that, and it wasn't my decision to have it surveyed, it was done here.
And it's in the past, let's move forward in the right direction.
Right.
And
we won't have this conversation, we're all included, we're, going road here. Yes,
communicate more effectively. I think we all have started copying everyone on emails, which, until we get all the
Right.
emails,
And
we
that's
continue
what-
to use the emails that we have,
right,
which is
and
fine.
that's why this says it's a board decision, okay? Not one party.
Right. And if it's a 2-1 vote. then
That's right.
The majority
That's
still
right,
wins.
that's right,
We may have times where we agree, disagree, and that's okay.
right.
But bottom line, the professionals, if there's 2 yeses and 1 no, the
Well, that's
professional is permitted
that's
to move
right.
forward.
That's
So
correct, yes.
That's just something, that's the way our local
Yeah, any
government
spending
works.
matter comes before the three of us.
That's
No
correct.
No one person can make
Well,
any
Dave,
spending.
I'm gonna
That's
I'm gonna say this and end this, okay? That piece of paper right here was $2,250, okay? So the money was spent.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's something that needed to be spent so we could
Okay.
decide what we were gonna do. I mean, that's just the process. I mean, unless you know how to survey and that stuff, you're more than welcome to do it, but if you don't,
I
we
said
we have to
we're
rely
gonna
on
move
our
on, but I'm
professionals.
saying is that wasn't board approved. Okay, that wasn't board approved. It was money spent, but was not board approved. I signed this, we're gonna pay them, okay? But I'm saying, this is what I'm referring to. You say no money was spent, this money was spent. It's in the invoice for $2,200 and some dollars.
We sat here and talked about it at the,
I thought we could, but again, I got authorization to
Okay.
proceed with a preliminary design and the grant application, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yes,
No more than that.
okay. Just keep us posted.
Yep.
all right. The other 2 items we talked about, other concerns, we did the salt declaration. Anybody else have any other concerns? No? All right, would someone make a motion to pay the bills?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Ayes have it. No reason to go into executive session. I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Ayes have it.